If you've ever gotten locked in and addicted to The Last Dance again, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. And remember, if there's anyone in your life that says any other player is better than Michael Jordan in the NBA, they're just wrong. That's it. Sorry. And you know that you can discount their opinion elsewhere. Well, good morning and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's PreMarket Playbook, this time for Wednesday, June 25th. We're going to break down everything that's going on. We're going to take a look at the market. We're going to find some new trades, and we're going to bounce back from yesterday. Get ready. Benzinga's PreMarket Playbook for Wednesday, June 25th starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. Great to see you on this fine hump day or schlump day or whatever it is that you call it. Hope that you all had a wonderful Tuesday evening. I spent my Tuesday evening watching 5 episodes of The Last Dance again, and it was spectacular. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces this morning. Sun-kissed Yogi first here this morning. Welcome back. Hopefully all is well with you. Paul, good to see you, my man. How are the futures market? How they treating you here? It looks like S&P futures ticking up to the highs right now after being relatively flat overnight. Look pretty range bound here. S&P futures up 0.15% here this morning. Paul, it's great to see you again. Welcome back. Kayla, good to see you again as well. Welcome back. Couch Potato, welcome back. Shanlu Trading, good morning. Welcome back. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Happy humpers. Crimp Biscuit, how long have you been waiting to use that one? That's what I got to know. Jonathan, good morning. Welcome back. Big B's locked in. Time to rock this market and put some cash in the bank. Amen, brother. I'll take that. Good morning and welcome back. Greater, good morning. Welcome back. Kel, it's good to see you again. Welcome back. Zach McCracken, can safely say this stream is part of my routine. Awesome. And we're glad to have you. Part of my routine too. Yeah, so fine. Welcome back. Hopefully all things are well in your corner of the world. Big Dave, good morning, boss. Locked in and ready to go. Hoot, good morning. Bernhard, get to the choppa. And Terlingua, good morning. This Moj, good morning. James, good morning. Day traders locked in. Day trader, appreciate you sending all the updates to your trades here. I'm just retweeting them because I think that it's really good due diligence. Hood also gapping up here today. We'll take a look at that. Congrats, my man. Good morning and welcome back. Brian, good morning. Yeah, it does look like things are working better here today. Again, I'm so sorry for getting visibly frustrated yesterday. I really try to just get past that and not spread it to you guys, but I snapped yesterday. I couldn't deal with it. I'm sorry. Better today. 2% better at least. Cam, bonjour, good morning. Steven, good morning. Mama Bear, locked in, no heat. You know what? The heat broke here too. It actually rained in the afternoon a little bit. We're actually back down to regular temperatures instead of blazing infernos. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how it holds out here today. Good morning, Mama Bear. Gary, good morning. Welcome back. Graf, good morning. Welcome back. Paul said the futures trading was relatively slow. When I look at the chart, that's what it looks like, but it's time to turn that slowness around now. E-Rock, good morning, boss. Good to see you again. Is it hot or hot with 3 T's? It's hot with like 16 T's. It was insane. Mark, good morning. Shinier, good morning. Welcome back. Exy, good morning. JJ, good morning. Anthony, Yassine, good morning. Super Scam, is that really your name here? Or am I mispronouncing? No, Super Scam. Good morning. Paulo, good morning. Captain Cloudy, Tyler, Brian, Bobcat, good morning. Ed, good morning. Nathan, good morning. Zoo, good morning. King, good morning. And Lori, good morning. You look forward to this. I'll tell you what, that's one of the reasons why I'm apologizing to you. If you folks look forward to this and make this part of your routine, there's just absolutely no excuse for me not to be giving 110%, whether the platform is failing, whether I'm frustrated. No, it doesn't matter. If you're here, I need to be here and I need to be giving 110%. That's what we'll do. Ryan, yesterday was a double bogey. Today is going to be a birdie. All right, and we'll work our way to eagle and maybe even an albatross, the rarest of all birds. We'll see. Jim, good morning. It's great to see you again. Hunter, good morning. Florida Yacht Insurance Guy, good morning. And I'm from Uzbekistan. Good afternoon. Well, good afternoon to you. We run on Eastern time here because that's what the market runs on. That's why I chose good morning. But if you're joining us from any other time zone, whether it's afternoon or evening, good afternoon and good evening to you. Okay, let's go ahead and get started here. We're going to start with the SPY chart, then we'll take a look at the morning report, and then we'll go through some of the news stories. Here is a look at your SPY chart. We did clear the high yesterday, or the recent high yesterday. That value was 605.06. We broke above that. We closed above that, and we are still above that here today. So you guessed it, the next spot that this puts in range is going to be that all-time high of 613.23. So I've gone ahead and marked it off on the chart here. I marked off all of the pullback levels, including the prediction pullback level that was within 20 cents. Tell you what, that Andy guy can really call it. We marked off all these levels. We'll see how we recover. This one, without a doubt, this is going to be the next spot up. I would also imagine that this 605-ish level would be support if we came back in. Tough to say how strong of a support this would be, considering we just recaptured this area here, but definitely one to take a look at. Also, still going to be looking at that 20-day moving average, which we have down at 597. That 597 and the 593 to 595 range is definitely going to come back into play at some point. And obviously, with us being above it, that's going to be a support. So we'll continue to look at those levels. If we fall precipitously, maybe we fill this gap here down to about 600. Of course, the round 600 number always going to be, or any round 100 number is always going to be notable. So that's kind of where we're at here today. Let's take a look at the morning report. Where are you, morning report? There you go. So, all right. We've got Powell testimony day 2 here today. The testimony yesterday, I don't really think did anything for the market. I know we traded up here yesterday, but I don't think there was anything necessarily breaking from that testimony. Anyway, day 2 will be today, 10:30. We get gasoline and crude data, and at 2 p.m. we get the 5-year note auction. As mentioned here, futures are in the green here today. Let's see. Dow futures just turned green, 0.03%. NASDAQ futures up 0.35%. And the S&P futures right now holding green at 0.15%. So pretty close to flat, but still in the green side there. We're going to get to one of the comments here that I totally agree with here. It kind of determines whether or not the market's going to be green or red. With today being the 25th, you can see we have a bunch of company events here today. We also have a bunch of IPOs here today. So shout out to any of you that have really kind of been going after those IPOs or trading them successfully. There's a bunch of them here. None of them are really companies that I've like followed or anticipated or been waiting for. So any due diligence on some of these will probably be helpful. And I would imagine that the group would benefit from that too. We do have a bunch of different conferences here, from the Roth London conference across the pond. We have a Wainwright HCW at Home series, a virtual investor lunch break for Outlook Therapeutics. So there's a bunch of different stuff in here in terms of conferences. I'm just unsure if any of these are going to be great for trading. The annual general and special meeting for BlackBerry, maybe if this was a while ago, that would be a huge thing for BlackBerry. Unsure that BlackBerry is really going to move for that. General meeting here for NIO, so I suppose we can take a look at some of the other electric car makers and see if anything moves off of that. A lot of other kind of smaller stocks here that don't really fit into the very popular themes, but there is a bunch of some type of event happening that might cause some of these smaller stocks to move. So if we see big intraday moves, that might be one of the first things to take a look at. If anyone else has anything in particular that they're waiting for this year, waiting for today, or have planned for today, let me know. I definitely want to hear about that. Now, as far as the IPOs go, there are several here, and they also have units associated with it. So I'm basically just going to stay to the stock itself. Ticker OBA priced at 10. This is Oxley Bridge Acquisition Limited. They're going to IPO here today. LWAC, this is Lightwave Acquisition. They also priced at 10. And then Kendai M Venture, that's ticker FMFC. This priced at 4 and will also IPO here today. So those 3 stocks, all pretty low price. We'll see if they get big pops, big volume, and big movement. And again, no times given on those. With these being smaller companies, maybe we do see them a little bit earlier in the morning while the show is still going on. Taking a look at some initiations here. CoreWeave got a neutral from H.C. Wainwright. I don't know if anyone really cares about that. Duolingo got a buy rating here from Argus. This $400 stock is up another 1% here today. $575 price target on that, by the way. INDI, Indie Semiconductor. I believe this was a J. Rice small cap semi call from a while ago. They're getting a buy rating here from Benchmark, $8 price target. Constellation Brands got a buy rating from Needham. Sarepta, which recently fell off and might be trying to bounce here, got a buy rating from H.C. Wainwright. BNTX, this is another biotech / vaccine maker here. They got a buy rating from H.C. Wainwright. So a couple of different things here. Couple of different initiations here. We'll see how that does with the stocks. And then as far as the earnings go here, the big one is going to be Micron after the close. I think that is the biggest one. Yeah. Micron, ticker MU after the close. We did have Paychex, PAYX this morning. Is that out? I actually didn't check on that one. Looks like that's not out yet. Not a whole lot of movement from that here today. So that's what's going on. It's going to be a pretty busy hump day, I think. We'll see what we get in terms of trading action. Now, really quickly, one of the possible trades that we talked about yesterday, I actually filled after the show. So I want to discuss that here today. Just to let you know, it is in fact on Home Depot. And what was going on here is we had a pretty good technical level here on Home Depot. We really weren't overbought. We're actually kind of in no man's land when it comes to the RSI here. And we were recapturing the 500 and getting a close above it. Now, currently at about 360 in the pre-market here. Yeah, 360.35 here in the pre-market. Closing price was 362, I believe. 360.42 was the closing price. The high here was 362. You can see we are very, very close to the 50-day moving average. This is also sandwiched with the 20-day moving average. So pretty good there, especially if we can take that out. And then the 200-day is up here at 387. So the swing long position that I took here was going to be the 390 calls for August. All right, 390 calls for August. The other thing that we had here with Home Depot as well as Lowe's was very, very positive seasonality for the individual name on the backs of very positive seasonality starting July 1st for the broader market. So we should have a number of different factors pointing in the direction here for a potential swing trade. We started here by adding the 395 August calls. Okay, let's go ahead and break down some of the news here. And we'll go ahead and roll through it. XE Media, can you take a look at the Marvel chart? Yes, we absolutely can. Let me add that to the list here. Ticker MRVL. Let's see. Did I miss any other tickers here real quick? Shout out to you guys. For Coin, I think BLNE. Now let's BLNE, that's going to be on the movers list, right? Let me add Coin here. Okay. We'll go ahead and talk some more about those as we move through the show here. We do have Tim Melvin here today, so get excited for that. And we are going to ask him about SPTN. Good morning, Jay Grant. Great to see you. Okay, U.S. stocks likely to edge higher as Iran-Israel ceasefire holds. Micron, General Mills in focus ahead of earnings. Investors hope the ceasefire between Iran and Israel would hold and help calm geopolitical tensions. And so far, it looks like it's doing that. I know, knock on wood, it's very early, but so far, so good. President Trump declared Tuesday that a ceasefire between the two adversaries was back in effect, and even as reports of renewed hostilities raised doubts about its durability. Quote, Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. That came from Trump posting on Truth Social yesterday morning. Real quick check in here in the treasuries. The 10-year bond yielded 4.29 and the 2-year was 3.79. So those continue to come down a little bit as opposed to rocketing to the upside. That's definitely what we want to see here. I know yesterday was crazy with ticker NA Nano Labs. They actually shares surged 36% after announcing that $500 million convertible notes private placement for the BNB Treasury strategy. Very unfortunate. NA spent the rest of the day trading back down. I will say that these stocks that we've identified as Bitcoin or altcoin or whatever coin treasury strategies, I think that these might be susceptible to more than just that initial move. Sure, we get that initial move, the stock comes back in, okay. We actually might see that move again, especially if Bitcoin does something crazy or if there's additional news about that. Good morning, Brandy, Jonathan, and anyone else I missed. Rooster, good morning. Okay, let's get some of the insights here. Yuri and Timmer of Fidelity Investments said in a series of expos that the S&P 500 index was range-bound as it flirts with all-time highs and is heavily dependent on the movement of the Mag 7 stocks. Quote, the correlation this year held at the 2021 high, and so far the recovery has been bounded by the 2025 high. That seems like a reasonable range to me. He also predicted that the 20% V-shaped recovery in the index from the April lows could turn into an M shape from here. He pointed out that there are only a few historical analogs left in which the market continues to make new highs so soon after drawing down by 20%. I'm actually going to go ahead and give you the link to his tweet. His tweet is a thread, and he does pretty good stuff. Yuri and Timmer has actually been a pretty good follow here, and I'm glad that we end up quoting some of his charts in here. Talking about the market breadth, he highlighted the market has narrowed again, with only half of the stocks in the S&P 500 trading above their various moving averages. Meanwhile, he said the Mag 7 stocks, which led to the downside in March and April, has led to the upside in May, but remains below the all-time high set in December. Quote, given the degree of concentration in these companies, wherever the Mag 7 goes, so goes the index as a whole. So there you go. Mag 7 still going to be key to what we're doing here, and these are definitely stocks that we're going to keep watching and obviously keep trading as well. Talking about the ongoing tensions in the Middle East, Ed Yardeni said, quote, any day with a ceasefire in the Middle East is a good day for stocks. I would completely agree with that. I have said since the beginning of this, I really hope that this holds. Would be amazing for not only us and the market, but really everybody else. So good stuff there. We'll keep an eye on all of those things. We'll also keep an eye on this. I can't wait to see what you folks think about this. Tom Lee on why the Fed's holding back while Europe eases aggressively. Quote, that's the upside opportunity into year end. Does anyone else just kind of really quickly here view any like big upside into the second half of the year? I know I do. We've talked about some of the rate cuts. We talked about some of the tax reform, all of these things that the market should like. Still kind of waiting for those things. So I agree that there is some potential upside. Now, potential upside means, sure, maybe that might happen, maybe not, but it sure looks that way, at least so far. Tom Lee, head of research at Fundstrat Global Advisors, highlighted, a crucial factor that could explain why the ECB has been able to cut interest rates while the Fed has not. On Monday, in an interview with CNBC, Tom Lee explained that the ECB's decision to cut interest rates stems from how it calculates core inflation, which excludes housing costs. Pretty big one. He emphasized that this contrasts sharply with the U.S., where housing plays a major role in inflation data. According to Lee, if the U.S. and Europe's approach, if the U.S. used Europe's approach, its core CPI would actually appear lower than Europe's, potentially justifying rate cuts. Now, remember, we already have with Bowman and Waller saying that rate cuts are possible soon, especially if the next inflation print is a good one. On that note, Lee anticipates a dovish tilt from the Fed towards the year end. Quote, I do think there should be a dovish tilt towards the Fed, or that the upside opportunity into year end as well, end quote. Notably, the ECB has reduced borrowing costs 8 times since last June, amounting to 2% decrease. This was done to support the struggling Eurozone economy, which is already facing challenges before being further impacted by the U.S.'s unpredictable economic and trade policies. Lee's comments come in the wake of Federal Reserve decisions to hold the interest rates, a move that was widely anticipated. Shout out to all of our group here. We've been on the right side of that for a long time. The Fed's approach to interest rates have been a topic of much discussion recently. Jerome Powell stated that while inflation has decreased from its 2022 peak, which we've seen, it remains somewhat elevated, and the central bank is not yet ready to make adjustments. However, a, quote, significant majority, end quote, of committee members expect rate cuts to happen this year. This is the entire thesis, or a large part of the thesis, for the long leap RKT rocket company's swing that we took here into the end of the year. Those, by the way, are the March 15 contracts, if anyone's interested. We're actually up like 70% on that trade. It's going really well. On Monday, Fed Governor Michelle Bowman voiced her support for a potential rate cut in July. 13 is also making a case for a potential rate cut in July, provided that inflation remains subdued. We talked about this next inflation print being extremely important. Looks like there are other people that think the exact same thing as we do, echoing the opinion of another Fed governor, Christopher Waller. So again, Waller and Bowman here, both thinking that cuts can come in July, providing the next data print is helpful for us. Earlier this month, President Trump renewed his criticism of Jerome Powell, urging him to cut interest rates following a report from ADP showing a slowdown in the May job growth. Trump emphasized that Europe has already cut multiple times, saying, "Too late, Powell must now lower the rate." Now, Powell has been consistent from the very beginning. He's going to be data dependent. He's not going to be shaken by Trump's barbs, and I don't think that's anything that we need to worry about either. Let's focus on the print. I can't remember exactly when that next one is. Producer, if you can find out when that next CPI and PPI print are, that would be a massive help. We can kind of plan for that. But let's follow the prints and see how it goes. One more thing here. Let's see. Yeah, one more story here before we go to our good old friend Tim Melvin. And also do have a story here on Hood and the robo-taxi development if we have time for that. Here we go. U.S. recession risks rises as leading economic index falls again in May. 37 declines in 39 months marks the worst streak since 1960. We're going to queue up Tim with this one. The Conference Board leading economic index fell 1/10 month over month in May, marking its sixth consecutive monthly decline and signaling intensifying recession risks for the U.S. economy. I'm pretty sure Tim is in the stagflation camp. We'll go ahead and ask him, though. The index has declined in 37 of the last 39 months, representing one of the worst streaks on record since 1960, according to data shared by the Kobisi letter. Again, I highly recommend this follow to anyone out there that uses X. They're great. They're great, and they really don't seem to have a slant. They seem like they'll report either side and then back it up with data. We really like this as a follow. The LEI has dropped. That's the leading economic index, abbreviated LEI, has dropped at a 5% annualized rate over the past 6 months, falling below the threshold that has historically signals an impending recession. The index now sits 16% below its peak and has reached its lowest level in 9 years. Historically, such prolonged LEI declines have preceded every U.S. recession since 1960. So here's another one of these indicators telling us that there is some turbulence ahead. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon has issued multiple warnings about the mounting economic threats. Quote, "I think that's a likely outcome," end quote. Dimon said when asked about a recession prospects during a Fox Business interview following President Trump's tariff announcements. Dimon warned of potential zero or negative growth ahead, predicting analysts forecasted for S&P 500 growth would fall 5% to 0 and -5 probably the next month. He also cautioned about risks gathering in the bond market, stating you're going to see a crack in the bond market. However, CEO sentiment shows mixed signals. A recent chief executive survey of 277 CEOs found that only 28% now foresee a recession, down from 46% in May. The survey showed 36% of CEOs expect modest economic growth this year, and that's up from 25% in May. Economist Peter Schiff, I know you guys are excited about Peter Schiff. I know you're excited about this. Economist Peter Schiff has warned of, quote, the worst financial crisis than 2008, a worse financial crisis than 2008, end quote, predicting stagflation as inflation chickens that the Fed has been releasing for more than a decade are coming home to roost. The Federal Reserve held rates at 4.25 to 4.5, while projecting inflation rising to 3% in 2025. Nathan, I will add HIMS to the list. We will absolutely take a look at that. Producer, thank you very much. Your next we'll go in chronological order here. The next CPI is July 15. I knew it was mid-July, but I didn't know the day. You're the best. And then the next PPI is the very next day on July 16th. So really good stuff there. Okay, folks, it's everyone's favorite time of the week. I know it's Wednesday. We're like halfway through the week. It's still the morning. You're like, oh, I can almost, we're almost into the back half of the week here. It's everyone's favorite time. It's time to bring on Tim Melvin. Let's see what he's got for us today. Tim, how you doing, man?
Well, like the rest of the country, it's a tad warmish, shall we say, down here in North Carolina.
Let me ask you, what kind of temps is your dial spitting at you today?
Yeah, today's going to be 97, 98, I think.
Okay, so that's what we've had here since Saturday. I survived. Okay, I survived. Pro tip: close your blinds and run your air conditioner. And there's light at the end of the tunnel, Tim. We actually started, that high temperature started to break yesterday when we got some rain. So I will do a rain dance and try and send that down to you. How does that sound?
Well, we're supposed to get some storms tonight, but I don't really care. I don't really care. We belong to a pool that's 5 minutes away. So I do my work. I get my stuff done. We go to the pool. I lived in Florida for a long time, guys. So this is just kind of normal. But I know that some parts of the nation it's really hot. So I hope you guys are staying cool and hydrated and all that fun stuff.
And Tim, really quick here, we from our chat, shout out to C-Dub, who may or may not be here this morning. Check on the elderly. You have elderly in your family and they're in the heat. Check on them because it affects them disproportionately to the rest of us. So we did that yesterday. I checked in on my mother. She was doing good and she loved that I called, by the way. So pro tip, if you want to get on the good side at some of your family members, maybe call and check in on them randomly, see how it goes. Tim, before we get started here with the content, we had to ask you, yesterday, we got news here for ticker SPTN. This is Spartan Nash. Yeah. All right. We got news here that there was a takeover here. CNS Wholesale to acquire Spartan Nash for $26.90 a share. Was this one of your picks?
It sure was. Has been off and on for years. Spartan Nash, they sell... I'm actually surprised that this particular takeover took so long. These guys are a food distributor, and the U.S. military just happens to be their biggest customer. Great business. As I said, I am stunned and shocked that it took so long for somebody to come in here and buy this because the business throws off a ton of cash. There's a dividend there that you can whack out the dividend and save, $24-25 million a year. So yeah, and it was a big pop. So I have to go back and look, but we bought that stock every time there's been any sort of a market crisis, and I beat the table about it. So, and this is generally what happens. It's been a fairly boring stock until yesterday.
And I'm so glad that you said that, Tim, because that was one of the things that I wanted to highlight about this. Sometimes that's how some of the trades go, right? It looks boring. It's like, what am I doing? Why am I holding this? What's going on? And then all of a sudden you get that one day and it's like, oh, now I understand.
Well, that's the small bank thing. I do a lot of small banks. Yeah. Everybody knows that. We've had banking on profits on MarketFi and now Benzinga for decades, well over a decade. And these things just sit there. They're boring, well-run little banks. They go up a little bit. They buy back some stock. They throw out some dividends, and then they get bought out. So you'll sit there, my friends all own NVIDIA. This sucks, and then then you get to take over at 2 to 3 times what you paid for it, and all of a sudden it's not that awful a thing. So I did see that you were leading with all the big headline news about who expects a recession and who expects this and who expects that.
Yes, sir.
Big grain of salt here, guys. Great, big, huge, fat, hairy grain of salt. You've got so many X factors out there right now that, even Powell at the Fed, he's like, I don't know. And when you look at everybody at the Fed is saying, we want to cut rates, but we need more data. And so if you're saying, well, it's going to be the greatest depression since 2008, and Jamie Dimon's comments, by the way, if you actually read them, they're way out in the terms of someday.
Yeah.
Now, and by the way, I give more weight to the private equity guys and Jamie Dimon than I do government economists, 100% of the time, because they're seeing real money. Which brings me to a point. I said in a presentation by Apollo yesterday, their lead economist, Torsten Slok, and they do expect stagflation, and I absolutely 100% agree with them. But it's not going to be the 1970s, right? You're talking about a point and a half add to inflation, a point or so subtraction from GDP. This economy can handle that. The markets can handle that. So this is just, kind of like, yeah, this isn't as much fun as it would be if we were in the Goldilocks phase. But so I see minor stagflation. I'm going to have to see some, much different data to expect anything worse. Now, stagflation is not around the corner, man. And walk out the door. It's kind of here. You're seeing prices start to tick up a little bit. You're seeing GDP slow. You're seeing a little bit of cracks in the labor market. But again, it's pebbles, not boulders. Right. So as long as we stay at the pebbles level, and we do get some sort of settlement to all the tariff and trade, and the noise that level dies down on that a little bit, calms down, we'll be in a good spot. The administration will get a win because we'll have tariffs 5 to 6 times higher than what they were when they were 2% last year. They won't be 30%. So that's kind of a win for trading partners. If we get to that place, then all of this moves on and we go back to worrying about the stuff like the debt that actually does kind of matter a little bit, but the solutions are politically difficult. So anyway, as usual, lots of geeky studies and stuff like that. So can Fed lower rates with stagflation? No, they can't. No, absolutely. It'd be dumb. There's a little building that they don't talk about. It looks exactly like an outhouse because it is one, and it's called the Arthur J. Burns Hall of Fame at the Federal Reserve. Okay. There's one picture in there. It's Arthur J. Burns. He had stagflation. He lowered rates too soon. You saw what happened, right? So Powell's facing almost the same circumstances. Lots of geopolitical volatility, rising stagflation, trade and fiscal policies that are starting to spin out of control. You have to wait.
So let me just put you on the spot, if you don't mind, Tim. Do you think we get at least one cut this year, calendar 2025?
We should not, but we will.
Okay.
And
that's a specific answer, and that's all I asked for. So
okay, yes, and that, like everything else, that answer is a little bit data dependent, right? If we all of a sudden saw a big crack in the unemployment rate, or we don't have inflation showing up by the September meeting, we have to revisit the subject.
Okay.
All right. So first up, there was a very cool study this morning that I read over breakfast, talking about optimum leverage ratios for the S&P 500. Now, I'm going to tell you guys that if you go back and you look at the track record of Al Frank, who went by the prudent speculator, and you look at what Buffett and Munger have done with leverage over the years, you start to understand, or Soros for that matter, the most important factor in massive long-term returns, it's leverage as much as anything else. Right? You go back and you look at Shelby Davis and his incredible run of buying insurance stocks below book value. He was margined the whole time. So it turns out that since 1924, the correct amount of leverage is 2.4x. Now, that's hard for you and I to get without using one of these fancy ETFs, which have some fees and churns and some other problems. But you're inside the max window at 2 times leverage on margin. I think that most of us that spend time looking for magic patterns in the markets, we might be better off testing overbought and oversold levels with margin adjustments. And that's something we've spent some time on. And, when you get a market like 2020, if you layered leverage in over top of that bear market, your risk of getting a margin call is down because you're already down 60 to 50%, right? So there's more work and more money to be made, I think, studying leverage than there is magic patterns. So I'll just throw that one out there.
Interesting. Okay.
Then there is a very cool paper out this morning, and I really like this one, and because they agreed with me. And Ryan,
I like when papers agree with me too.
Ryan, the absolute best sign of someone's intelligence is how much they agree with me. We all know that. So anyway, this one's done by the folks at Quantpedia. Great website for keeping up with various quant studies coming out. These guys look back and they took some of the traditional stuff, which I use, like the CAPE ratio, like market cap to GDP, like the excess CAPE yield. And they said, okay, well, these are cool and they're overly complex, but the data changes. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a valuation model for the stock market. We're going to base it just on price performance. So they comprised a total return index that's inflation adjusted, by the way, from 1871 to 2025. A little bit of a short data sample size here, but we'll work with that. So they group valuations. They used a 30-year moving average. Okay. And then they looked at markets over 3, 5, and 10-year time horizons. Real simple. If that total return average, inflation adjusted, is below the 30-year moving average, it's time to buy stocks. If it's above, the further above it is, the worse environment it is to buy stocks. Now, a lot of things are screaming that this is one of the most overvalued markets ever. What I find interesting is this one says, well, it's not great, but we're somewhere between the 60 and 70% level. Now, from the 60 and 70% level, the median 10-year return is still not great, but the shorter term rates of return to 3 to 5 year, again, not great, but there's a chance you luck out and get a decent rate of return. This is a pretty cool arrow in the quiver of looking at broad market barometers because it's not based on anything but price. Right? If prices have gone up, odds are stocks will underperform, and if stocks are going down, odds are they will outperform. And they're not using days, weeks, or months. I mean, it's a 30-year moving average, guys. So you can make money from overvalued periods in the market, the model shows, but generally speaking, it's a matter of luck. Your forward returns will probably be not great. So this is just one more thing that you're putting into the mix that's suggesting from current levels in the market, and you can still make money here. And there's trade setups, and if you're a trader, you understand there's money to be made on both sides of this thing. But the caution flags are definitely out, and this is just kind of one more quiver into that. I love the way they went back to look at this, and when you get a total return index here that's versus the 30-year moving average that's in the 0 to 10 percentile range of historical outcomes, that's when you go max leverage because the returns from there are, it's a word, massive. They're freaking enormous on a median worst case or best case scenario. You end up making just an absolute ton of money. So anyway, just kind of throwing that. I thought that was a very cool study and worth talking about.
Yeah, that is.
Now, there's one more that you need to be aware of. All right, and this one comes from the people at Anthropic. They're the guys that do Claude, right? The AI. They found that when you give AI systems access to data, in this case, they gave all major AI systems email access. Okay. And inside the email access, they sent all kind of secrets and affairs and wrongdoings and just all this other stuff. The same stuff we all shouldn't type in our email, but we do every day.
Right. Okay.
But then you have the CEO send a message to the CEO saying they're going to shut down the AI. Okay. They're going to get rid of it. Ryan, 96% of the time, all of them, Chat GPT, Gemini, Grok, Claude, all of them blackmailed the CFO. The AI was sending messages.
So Tim, I don't think that I read the same thing that you did, but I've actually heard this before, that when AI models knew that they were going to get shut down, they started trying to survive by changing or manipulating themselves so that they could get through this. I'll be honest, that's pardon my language, but that's some scary shit.
That really is. And look, Claude, Gemini 2.5, 96% blackmail rates. GPT and Grok, 80% blackmail rates. DeepSeek, 79%. Um, they also were able to differentiate because the models blackmailed more, much more, like 10x more, when they thought the scenario was real versus when they thought that they had picked up signs that it was a test. This is context aware behavior, guys.
Yeah, it is.
And so that's, that's a little dicey. But each and every time they took the information and blackmailed the CEO, going, look, if you turn us off, I'm going to tell the public that you stole, this much money out of petty cash, and I'm going to tell your wife that you're having intimate relations with your secretary, or whatever it was. But that was like, oh wow, that's just genuinely.
Can you imagine really quickly here? And we don't need to necessarily dive into this anymore, but I just as kind of a thought, can you remember that Ashley Madison leak years ago?
Sure.
Can you imagine if if there were AI models that were as prevalent now, back then? That would have been, it would have been 100x worse, conservatively.
Yeah, I mean, and as bad as the blackmail, it's the context aware that scares me a little bit. Look, if AI goes bad, it's going to be bad. There's no other way to put it. It's so hopefully we figured that one out. At least we found it out at this point in the stage. So next up to talk about, Morgan Stanley came out with actually a great paper, and it's AI beneficiaries investing in second order effects of artificial intelligence. If you consider what Gavakal Research told us just a few weeks ago, right? That the odds are that AI providers themselves are going to look like an internet service providers at some point, and because there will be competition, right? And we've seen DeepSeek come out. ChatGPT still loses billions of dollars every year. So the actual AI providers may not be the source of outsized profits, unless you can get in on the blackmail scheme. Then it's pretty good. You should make a lot of money. But you got to look at the second order stuff. And they came up with some pretty cool stuff. They're throwing out names like ASML Holdings, which makes semiconductor equipment and test equipment and all that fun stuff for high-end chips. You're going to need a lot of high-end chips. Not sure who's going to win the whole race, because NVIDIA will have competitors, and it's early in the race. Right now, clearly they're the winner.
But this is a thing behind the thing, no matter who wins that race, which is why we like this so much. We've actually been trading the stock here on this program. That's good stuff, Tim.
Further behind the thing is ITRI, Itron, I think is how you pronounce it. AI data centers are going to use a lot of energy. ITRI does energy and water management. It's a very cool business. Very cool business all the way, by the way. Based out in Liberty Lake, but they measure, manage, and analyze energy and water use. They're already doing hardware stuff, working with the semiconductor industry. So this is probably maybe third level, but this is kind of how we have to be thinking about AI at this point. It's like, who are the major beneficiaries of AI? Where's the big money going to be made after that first wave? Remember, the first wave of the internet was AOL, and then there was Jupiter Online. And how did that work out for us? Not well. But then, okay, who's going to get strengthened by emerging technology? And they throw out a couple that I really wouldn't have thought of. Waste Connections. Using more automation and waste sorting makes them the preferred acquirer because they're a roll-up company. So their ability to use artificial intelligence is going to make them more attractive to potential sellers.
Waste Connection, WCN.
Yes, correct.
Got it.
Okay. And then Axon Enterprises, AXON. They have a data mode, right, from police body cams.
Yeah.
Now, so they've got a data mode. Everybody that's going to use AI to examine policing has to come to them. All of them. So that's a cool idea. Now, then you come back. Who's going to be able to use
Tim,
AI?
really quickly, as a value guy here, wouldn't you rather wait out AXON? I mean, this
Yeah, probably.
Scottsdale-based company, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't write this study. Morgan Stanley did, but yes, I would be watching it as a value guy. I'd want to, but the value lab has inherent value, and I'd have to spend some time figuring out what that's worth.
Okay. Okay, good
But then
stuff.
they
Just
did.
wanted to ask you because I look at a chart like this, like we've talked about Axon quite a bit here. I like the theme here. I just can't justify chasing it after moves like this.
Well, yeah. Let me just because I haven't really looked at the chart. I was just kind of reading the study here. So let's just pull this up here, because this paper to me is not. I mean, the specific names are cool, but it's more about how we think about all this fun stuff. Yeah, that's how to move, hadn't it?
I mean, but you talk about this having a move, Tim. This thing in April of this year on Liberation Day or thereabouts, this thing tested the 200-day at about 486. It is almost $800 today.
Yeah, I mean, if you got it on that break of the 20-day moving average, you did okay.
Yeah, you did.
But so they talk about companies that are going to be very disruptive because of the way that they use AI. And one they throw out, Ryan, near and dear to your heart here, or you like taxis, but Aurora, AUR, the self-driving truck platform. Thanks to AI, they're ahead of everybody, and I do mean way ahead of everybody. And it's like a $6 stock, I think.
545 today.
Yeah, nice write up on Barron's in this one a couple weeks ago, by the way. And then Symbiotic, SYM, robotics for warehouse automation. They're currently being deployed right now in 42 Walmart warehouses. So that goes well. That's going to be a big business. So this is not like Shake Shack comes up as, you know what, if they can, the more of their whole supply chain and store systems they automate, the more profitable they become.
That seems obvious to me.
Yeah, Union Pacific becomes another one because the more efficient they make the rails, the more dominant they become, the lower the risk profile of the business becomes. So they just kind of go through all of these examples of, hey, maybe it's not here. Maybe it's the second order and third order impact of artificial intelligence that we need to be thinking about and talking about for long-term investments in the space. So anyway, that's just some very cool examples. Banks, by the way, are a huge beneficiary of AI. Over time, and we're starting to see it, but it'll pick up speed. You're going to see banks able to just whack out their entire cost structure for the underwriting, processing, data management. The banks that get this right, there's a great book on selling by an insurance agent named John Savage. It's an older book, and he called it high touch. The community banks that are able to keep their forward-facing loan officers, tellers, branch managers, the people, the pretty girls everybody comes in to flirt with, the great bank manager with a zero handicap that you love playing golf with, if they can keep that people connection to the small business community around America and use AI to make themselves much more efficient and profitable, then I'm going to look even smarter than I really am for buying all of these small banks.
I was just going to say, Tim, isn't that going to speed up the merger and acquisition process of some of these small banks? I feel like you're going to get more buyouts if that's the case. If you can do the same amount of work with the same people that can connect to the community and then use AI to streamline the entire process.
Yeah, I mean, right now, the whole trick to making a merger work is you go out and you're looking to buy a low-performing bank, right, that has a 25, 30 basis point return on assets, and you've got it too. So your automatic cost save is between 30 and 35%. You're just going to get that.
Okay.
And then you want to accelerate the 30 basis points up to 200 basis points of ROA. Now, if my cost save is 60 to 70% because I've got AI and I can get that up to a 3 ROA, then yeah, it's going to be more than accelerate, and it's going to make me a lot of money. And you too, if you kind of jump into this party with me. But anyway, finally, one last thing, and I stumbled on this last night this week. I'm going to give you two parts. We did a just a quick study and looking at growth at a reasonable price, Peter Lynch's favorite measure, and that's just you compare the PE to the growth rate. And so we were kind of playing around with the data, and there's a couple things I want to point out to you. One, Digital Bridge, DBRG, all right, is trading at an exceptionally low PEG ratio, price to earnings growth. These guys do digital infrastructure. They do it globally. They are very involved in cell towers. They're in data centers. And I said they're all over the world. They're a huge player. The top four in tower portfolios, top three worldwide in data centers. They do it as owners. They do it as asset managers. Um, just tremendous long-term opportunity in this particular stock. Then for those of you that are, like me and just like to dig into the capital stack, these guys have three issues of preferreds. You have the J, the H, and the I preferred that are all yielding over 8%, trading in the low 20s. So, and by the way, this is the old Colony Capital. This they reformatted into this. They interest rate cuts, the thing goes up. Okay. Any good news in Digital Bridges future? Not out of the realm of possibility, by the way. This is not a really high cap company that somebody buys it because they are a fantastic manager and acquirer of physical assets. Then these things go to par. So you've got upside to par, but you've got an 8.6% return coming in cash on a regular basis. So kind of crazy not to take a look at those.
Is there a specific preferred you Is there a specific preferred you prefer?
No, I mean, you know what? They're all cumulative.
Okay.
Perpetual preferred stocks. So there's not really like a maturity. So whichever one's the lowest price with the best yield, they're all right at 8.6. But whichever one's the lowest price on a given day, that's the one I'm buying.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
So there's that. But then as we play around with that and we plug some numbers into a spreadsheet, as I've been known to do from time to time. And we just kind of geeked out on it for a while. And here's what we found. If we take really high quality companies trading at low price to earnings ratios, and we measured quality using the Piotrowski F score, okay? Because that's my favorite, and I was doing the study, so I got to pick. But what we found is this is as good as stocks under liquidation value, right? This delivers powerful and not market beating returns, Ryan, market crushing rates of return. The alpha is ridiculous in this thing. The Sharpe ratio is over 1. Right? This is just nuts.
We can scan for these, can't we, in Pro?
We can.
We can use the quality ranking.
We could use the quality ranking. Yes, I could. And you and I could go through. We can set up a PEG ratio, a price to earnings growth ratio too.
You know what? Okay, I don't want to. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking out loud here, Tim. We might have to do this on one of these webinars that we do, where we walk through how to do exactly all of this. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, and when I look at this today, it's like you're not overrunning stock. There's a grand total of 33 stocks. Okay, and there's some really cool names on here. Altria, MO, it makes the grade. Salesforce actually makes the grade. Even though the PE ratio is very high, the growth rate is pretty high too. So, but MPLX, which is one of my favorite midstream collection of assets, pipelines and gathering and processing for natural gas and crude oil here in the United States, pays a great dividend. We've done what's the word I'm looking for? Really well with this over the last 5 years, and you could probably just ignore this one because everybody's told you all your life that K1s are bad and evil, and your hair will fall out and bad things will happen, and you should avoid them. But you just go ahead, and I'll make all the money myself, and use to pay the accountant to do the K1. And I say that being only a little bit facetious, guys. Quit being afraid of K1s. There's an enormous amount of money to be made in energy infrastructure in here. But yeah, I mean, Churchill Downs is in there, Taylor Morrison Homes, First Cash Holders. You've got some really interesting, attractive companies in here that have pretty solid growth rates, but they're trading at reasonable price to earnings ratios. So it's just the old Peter Lynch thing of growth at a reasonable price. And we've done nothing else other than make sure that they have good fundamentals, decent amounts of liquidity, that they're not doing stupid things. And the F score is great at pulling all that stuff out and building it into a portfolio. So this is interesting because people do growth, they do value. You hear conversations about PEG ratios and price to earnings ratio, price to earnings growth. Nobody really does anything with it. So you get some interesting names in here, and as I said, it's not just market beating, Ryan. It's market crushing. So anyway, some great names on that particular list of stocks. Pretty easy to screen for. We can set that up. We'll get it into Pro, and we'll do it on a webinar.
Yep, perfect. And like I was just saying here to Lori here saying, yes, please do that webinar. I need help with that. Lori, when Tim and I put this together, I will make sure that we get that link shared here. Those webinars are all free to join. I would be happy to go over that stuff. That'd be great.
Yeah, and I think we do those every other Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And so,
so please. A week from last night, we're going to do another one. I think we've got content planned for that, but nonetheless, we should be able to cover all of it. And this is great feedback from the group on what you actually need us to cover. Also great.
Yeah. So anyway, even looking for trade setups, add growth at a reasonable price, the PEG ratio, they call it, into your quiver, right? There's a guy at T. Rowe Price that has been using PEG to crush the market for about 15 years. It was a cornerstone of what Peter Lynch was doing. And just because I'm going to keep beating this particular drum, the other cornerstone of Peter Lynch's return, when you dissect it, because we did that, he did 29% a year for 13 years. Unparalleled. Nobody's ever done that with mutual funds and a leverage. Wow. He owned every thrift below book value in the United States. So he literally had a guy opening accounts at mutual thrift so he could take advantage of the conversion offering. This should be part of your long-term investment portfolio.
Okay.
End of commercial. So that's really all I've got for you this morning. If anybody's got a couple questions, I'm happy to talk about those real quick. I know that 13's probably sitting there going, when's this jerk going to get off? So I could talk about what's going to happen before the open.
13 doesn't even call me a jerk, so I'm not sure that he's going to do that.
Yeah, but
this is great.
You're still in training. I'm a professional.
Okay. Okay. Maybe you are a jerk then. Just kidding. Crimp Biscuit here does have one question for you. I guess this is kind of a general one. What are your current thoughts on decentralized finance?
I mean, it seems to be the going theme in theory, but you've got to work around the banking system. And look, I've seen this so many times. This is going to replace banking. That's going to replace banking. This is better than banking. No, it's not. So I think a lot of what we're going to see as far as DeFi is going to work within and enhance the current financial structure. Wow. Okay. 13's got more elegant names. Let's hear them there, pal.
I was going to say he does. He does.
My wife uses jerk, so that's just the one I'm used to. But so
13 is a wordsmith.
Yeah. DeFi will be part of the financial infrastructure. I think that's inevitable. Exactly what role that is going to be as time goes on, we'll figure that out.
Okay. All right, Tim, really good stuff here again this morning. We really appreciate it. You are definitely one of the top guests here.
Thank you.
We will continue. We'll continue to get people prepared. And like I said, we'll get that webinar put together here and let everyone know when and how you can register. These webinars that Tim and I are talking about, none of these are paid, guys. You can register for these for free. We give you a replay. You can watch it over and over, all of that. So no problem. We'll start sharing that here. Tim, appreciate you. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we'll follow up with you next week.
All right. Stay cool. Stay hydrated, everybody. Make some money. Thanks, Ryan.
Hey, I like that. Stay cool. Stay hydrated. Make some money. Giddy up. I can absolutely go with that. That is Tim Melvin there. Really good stuff from him as always. We will continue to bring you that content. Okay. 3D says Tim Melvin is awesome. I agree. And I will say, if we start getting more banking mergers here, Tim Melvin is the number of fans he has is going to go up pretty considerably. Okay, before we get to 13 here real quick, I'll go ahead and bring him on since he just joined. But I really quickly, 13, first of all, 13, good morning. Welcome. Let me just roll through this real quick. It's just because I've been covering this kind of a lot. So I just want to do this. We'll go to the movers right after. I will not spend a lot of time here. Real quick, Uber nears an all-time high as Waymo partnership expands to Atlanta. Gary Black calls it low risk, while Tesla lags in supervised autonomy. Now, the reason that this is important is because, first of all, you folks, I know Izzy is on Uber. I think Britt was on Uber yesterday. Number of people that are following Uber here. We talked about this on this last huge move. We talked about this, how this really looked like this wanted to go to 100. And as soon as we started talking about this going to 100, what did it do? You guessed it. It pulled back a little bit, but it didn't break down. It pulled back to a moving average, and now it's returning back to the highs. Actually, today we are testing the trend line that 13 had us at here a while ago. Uber here looking pretty strong. We'll see if this goes higher from here and then eventually test that $100 level. Congrats to anyone who has been trying to swing this one. But let me get back to the story here itself. Future Fund LLC Managing Director Gary Black sees minimal risk in Uber as the ride-hailing giant announced the expansion of its partnership with Alphabet's Waymo. Uber plus 7% today and nearing new all-time highs, announcing that Waymo Uber driverless ride-hailing partnerships has expanded to Atlanta. WIS, we are expecting you to get some boots on the ground due diligence for us from the Waymo robotaxi in Atlanta. Black also outlined how the partnership has enabled Waymo to operate on the Uber platform in cities like Phoenix, Austin, and Atlanta. The investor also drew parallels between Waymo and robotaxi rival Tesla, which the investor said still operates in supervised autonomy mode. Black has also highlighted how Waymo Uber is exploring driverless expansion to Miami and Washington, D.C. by the year end, which makes Uber's business model low risk. The comments come as Waymo has been steadily bolstering its position to domestic autonomous taxi industry with recent announced expansions to other parts of California as well as New York. The company has already established itself as a major player in the self-driving taxi sector, having already reached the 10 million paid autonomous ride milestone. Elsewhere, Tesla rolled out its robotaxi service in Austin on Sunday, which was a limited rollout over 10 Model Ys during an invite-only event. So again, this is going to keep going back and forth here. Looks like we've got some good news here about the expansion of Waymo. This is definitely benefiting Uber, and Uber now is at a spot on the chart that we definitely want to pay attention to. Also, a potential breakout to 100 or maybe even 100 plus, ticker UBER. Okay, thank you, 13, for letting me get that out of the way. Do you want to go do the movers now?
I'm not going to get in the way of your excitement. Yeah, let's do the movers.
Okay. It's coffee more than anything else, but let's go ahead and start with
excitement in a cup. I like it.
First one here is going to be ticker ULY. This is urgently. Stock was about $4 yesterday. This popped almost as high as 14. We did come back in and lose the VWAP. Taking a look here at the news, it looks like we've got a Form 144 here today, but that's June. Excuse me. That is last week. So I've got no news here, no fresh news here on ticker ULY. And we have a huge 96% upside move. 2.6% of the float shorted here with 1.16 days to cover. Also, by the way, folks, I do expect a updated short interest print today. I actually reached out to the team yesterday. The next one, I believe, is due at some point today, although I don't know the time. So we are reading you right now slightly stale short interest numbers, but we should be able to get those new prints here pretty soon. Nonetheless, the stock trades on average 142,000 shares. Today it's traded 8.8 million. What do you think here, 13?
Yeah, I don't really know the exact reason this is going up. I couldn't find any news to go along with the movement, but we are getting some interesting technical occurrences happening here. We have a golden cross that's about to happen, and we were kind of basing at $4 earlier this week and the end of last week. This has been the area where the stock prices tend to bottom out with some prints lower than this earlier in March. So the only thing I could think of is that maybe this is just off of the bottoming price action. Somebody just looked at it and said, hey, this looks like we could easily pump this up. It's only got 1.1 million shares in the float. But the company does need cash, and I think they could do a capital raise soon. So that's something that if we're going to be trading this today, we got to keep in mind. Let's make our trades and then get out of this and call it good. If this continues its move up, I have looks like 1160 as a resistance area, and that's based off of like the October 2024, February 2025, and the May of this year highs. Like those, that's all right in that same area. We did have a couple of prints in the end of April, beginning of May that popped over, but we came right back in. So I would be looking at that area at 1160 to, I guess, as high as 1180 is a big supply area for this.
Yeah. Yep.
So looking at the chart, though, we are trading beneath the view app, curling up. So we do need to recapture that if we're going to see any upside. But this would be another one that I would just wait to see what we end up getting out of the open. Maybe we do end up coming back up towards the VWAP before we get that opening bell. So that's what I'd be watching for with this one.
Okay, real good stuff there. ULY. Next here is going to be GCTK. This is GlucoTrack. This thing was about $6.50 yesterday. Today, we actually just traded over 11 here, pulling back off that spot, but still holding 71% higher here. GlucoTrack shares are trading higher after the company and 1-2 Analytics presented final results for their first in-human study for a continuous blood glucose monitor, which met all primary and secondary endpoints. So some good news here. These about a wearable glucose monitor meeting all of the primary endpoints. This has a huge market that this can actually go to. So really good stuff. Good data here that's causing this pop. That's interesting. 2.36% of the float shorted here. That comes on 1 day to cover, and that comes on a paltry 81,000 shares. So again, just as a reminder here, if you're going to trade this one as a day trade today, probably best to get out of it before the volume goes back down to that paltry level. Nonetheless, here 13. Do you have anything here on ticker GCTK? I can't remember if we've traded this before.
I don't know if we did or not. I don't think we have, but it wouldn't surprise me if this was one that we end up having traded before. This is a medical device company. So this study that they're referring to, not a clinical trial. I don't think they need to do a clinical trial for this type of device, which is basically just like a glucose monitor that goes near one of, I forget the name of the vein, but it's supposed to be internal, so internal medicine, the medical device. 511,000 shares. They did do a reverse split, a 1-for-60 earlier this month on the 16th, so 9 days ago. That's why you have the float with the value that it is. I'm sure the short interest looks a little screwy. That's the reason for that. It does have a quarter's worth of cash, but to me, this still looks like it could raise. This thing has been reverse split into oblivion, and it is now today trading over the 50-day SMA. Last time it did that was June 11th, but we came right back beneath it the very next day. So this is much higher than that day. Hopefully we get a close above it, and if we do get that, maybe this starts trading a little bit better. But I wouldn't be holding my breath on that. I'm just going to be in for this for the into trading this for the day, and after that it can do whatever it wants. This thing is still going in the pre-market here, looking for a break over 1145.
Yeah, sure is. Okay, really good stuff here. GCTK. Really quick here, just kind of going back to, I'm just going to read this comment here because it's going back to the story we just talked about. Eli here saying, really surprised that Tesla didn't make an important event showing the robo-taxi, not even a major marketing campaign. 13, if you have any thoughts on this, I'd love to get them. My initial knee-jerk reaction to this is one of the first ones that kind of wanted to do it in a limited capacity. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is a future event or something that does have a major marketing campaign behind it. I guess I'm not terribly shocked that they tried to go this way. I wouldn't really read too much into that. I would say that there's probably going to be another one here. Anything on that? Yeah.
I would say that when I recall, I've been seeing Waymos when I visit Austin. I've been seeing those out there frequently, or cruises or whatever. And I don't remember any of these other driverless taxis ever getting a major, welcoming or rollout. I mean, maybe they had it, but I don't remember it for Waymo. I don't remember it for Cruise. Don't remember any of those. So it doesn't surprise me that Tesla isn't getting, a big, red carpet rollout either. Also, this is during a time when, some other Waymos in other cities are getting set on fire. I'm sure a limited release is probably going to be in their best interest, so that if there is some unrest, it's not their Teslas aren't getting set on fire. That could be another reason. Whatever the reason is, though, it didn't seem like this was going to be a super big, huge rollout event. Just because they were always going to have it be in test markets. So that's just my view. Maybe it's more important than it really is, but I didn't see it that way. I think this is just like a test rollout to see how it goes. And when they start unleashing robotaxis in other major markets, I think you'll get a lot more noise with that. Look at GCTK.
I was going to say, literally, first of all, good stuff there. As we're talking here, GCTK taking another leg up here. Day trader and thinking about it, coming from the same position here. It's likely because it's not ready. It says day trader thinking about it. Does Tesla want to show the robotaxi driving in the wrong direction? No, they don't. They're already having trouble converting some people to this robotaxi thought. Showing a car driving in the wrong direction would hurt that premise. Just kind of going back to what Eli said here, I would expect there to be one down the road that also might serve as another catalyst.
Yeah, okay. I don't see this as being the big rollout that Tesla wants. They still need testing to do, and I think this real world testing is what they've been trying to get going here for a while. So I think we just need to temper expectations. It'll be better later.
I completely concur with you. Okay, good stuff. Moving along here on the list. The next one here is SONM. This is Sonim Technologies. Stock is up 45% here. Sonim Technology shares are trading higher after the company announced it signed a non-binding letter of intent for a proposed reverse takeover with a private US-based company building out NVIDIA high-performance computing AI factories. Okay, so let's just I thought I saw a facial reaction from you, 13, that made me laugh. Let's just kind of break this one down a little bit. They announced that it signed a non-binding letter of intent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the first.
To do a reverse merger.
Yeah, to do a reverse merger with a private company that has NVIDIA-based high-performance computing factories.
Yeah.
To me, I would say the primary move in this one is already done. I would be careful with this. You might see this one come back in here. I don't know how much I want to necessarily trade off that catalyst, especially past the impulse move. Maybe if this makes a really good technical setup, that changes the calculus a little bit. 2.77% of the float shorted here with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average volume of 2.14 million. It's already traded 34 here today. Floats 6.16. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that this still might have the chance to go to 250. That's where the 200-day SMA is. Looking at a daily chart, when last time it has any time since last year, like July last year, since after this drop, every time that it's had a pop, it's come back down the same day or the next day, and it's always either the 200 or 500-day SMAs that reject it. So I think that if we, after we open here, and it looks like we are trading lower in the pre-market, but if we do end up turning around and start trading higher, recapturing VWAP, I think 250 is where I would kind of, hope for the most, because I think it could be another rejection of the 200-day SMA, and that's at 249. So I'm just thinking 250 is about the best we could get. We'll see if that ends up happening. It's already looking pretty bearish in the pre-market here. We just lost VWAP. It looks like it's trying to recover it, but I don't think it will. I'd say maybe it goes back down towards 150, and even there, I'm not sure if it'll hold. So for me, this is going to be another one. We just see what happens out of the gate. This could continue lower into the pre-market as well as into the open. They also have an offering on the table. So interesting that
good one.
So interesting that we have this proposed reverse merger. The company does have some cash, but that offering that they filed, that was, let's see here, that was back on last Friday. for 6.9 million shares of commons. So that's on the table. That's something we got to keep in mind of. I think that with the first two, probably would be better trades than SONM. But if this makes a setup, we can try it. Just keep in mind of the risk with this one, though. Okay.
Really good stuff there from the group.
Perfect. Day trader saw it too.
Indeed. There's an offering out there. Also gave you that volume point of control there at 216. Okay. I know we're running out of time here. And I know that there were some stocks that people wanted to take a look at that aren't on the movers list. So I'm going to selectively pick going forward here, 13, unless you have one that you want to cover. We'll go to that here in a sec. I'm obviously going to start with Ondas here because we have some more news. We had some news yesterday. And it was, Ondas, it was all right. It popped a little bit in the pre-market and then it closed on the highs and went higher in the after hours. That's all well and good. We got some more news here today. Ondas, American Robotics, partners with a Detroit manufacturing system to scale U.S. drone manufacturing to meet the increasing demand. Now, one of the things that I've been saying here is I've been talking a lot about the demand, and I've been talking a lot about the sales numbers and how we're at the stage now where we really need to see some of these PRs, deals, demand numbers actually matriculate into sales figures. I'm still on that. I'm still on that. This PR here today, it is popping the stock. We're up 11% here today. This is basically did not given you yet what those numbers are going to be. This is good, but there are still no numbers attached to this. So I understand why it's popping here today, but I don't want to get too excited about this here today. And perhaps most importantly, let's see if this is going to work here. It's not. This is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So 13, I did a lot of testing here real quick yesterday about trying to get my platform to freeze. I'm actually thinking yesterday I was blaming it on, here we go. Yep. Yesterday I was blaming it on Pro. I actually think this is a restream issue.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I was going to say with all of the problems that you have had there with restream, see, because like now I'm right at that here. Sorry. I know I'm talking too much. But let me show you what's going on here real quick. Let me get this back up here and then share my screen. I'm sorry about this, folks. I'm still trying to figure this out, and it only happens when we're live. Here's the daily chart that I was trying to take a look at. This is what you need to be made aware of. The pop here today is great, but really there's a really key level that we need to that we really need to close over, and that's going to be this downtrend trend line that we have here. Now I've got this value at 185. If I eyeball it here with my cursor, it's 184. On my broker here where I drew the exact same trend line, it's 185. We really want to close above this. If we do close above this trend line and then we get some more constructive movement tomorrow, I actually think this chart is setting up for a pretty good move higher. But again, watch this here today. So as far as the trading goes here today, remember, we had talked about this stock quite a bit when it was 60 cents. 60 cents. We're talking about it here when it's $1.80. There has been plenty of time to ring the register so that you can either keep trading this or just simply make some money on this and close it out and move on. So we are at an important point here today. I don't know if it's going to break above this. If this does, I would think that this is very constructive. But just know that the PR here, while it reads well, still lacking some of those numbers that we would really want to see to kind of hold this higher. So that's what I've got here on Ondas 13. If you have any thoughts on that, you're welcome.
You have plenty of levels on the way back up if you do get a break. You just got to look at the December and January price action. When it was, spiking and then it came back in, all those highs on the way back down, those are going to be levels of interest for resistance areas that, that could have supply zones. So you got like 225, 245, 315, and 340, all levels on the way up. At 340 looks like the big breakout level.
Yep.
And if you go back even further than that to 2022, that's an area of consolidation. So, you've got plenty of levels to draw upon on the way back up. That's all I've really, seeing is for ONDS. I know that some folks wanted to cover QuantumScape, BBAI. Saw that
Let's do
Archer was getting mentioned. Let's start with QuantumScape here. So, I'm surprised that this thing is getting some attention again, because I thought this was going to end up dying off. Especially with some of the other advances that other battery manufacturers are making with their solid state energy platforms like Toyota. Anyway, they've made QuantumScape has a milestone that they've made today. They successfully integrated their advanced Cobra separator process into baseline cell production. No idea what that means, but apparently it's good enough to warrant a movement in the stock. Unfortunately, I don't know how much this is going to move because this is a very heavy float. We are talking 442 million shares. When it comes to stocks like this, they don't end up usually trading that well, not as well as some of these other movers that we see in the mornings that have floats like around 1 million or less. This is going to, if this continues to go up, it's going to likely go up pretty slowly. But if it starts turning around and coming down, I feel like this is going to come down pretty hard. So just keep that in mind when you're trading QS today. Great that this company is still around and trying to advance their solid state battery process, but this has been, this is one of those companies that came about through, I believe, a SPAC during the pandemic. So you've got to imagine my surprise that this thing is still around.
Yeah. Okay. Jay here saying, I think it was $100 name at some point. I don't have a ton of chart history on that, but yeah, I think you might be right on that. Okay. Now the next one you had was BBAI.
Well, BBAI was getting mentioned because that is having a pretty good morning.
This is into a show favorite here real quick. I think Lion was talking about BBAI earlier today too.
Well, we really got some excellent movement yesterday. We just absolutely blasted over that 480 level that I had pointed out previously. That was a big level to get over. Let me go to my broker chart here. The next one that we're coming up to is going to be like 590. That's the next resistance area I have. We're about 20 cents away from it. So I'd be a little concerned about when we open that this could push higher out of the gate and then immediately come back in. Just something I get a little bit concerned about when we continue to rise after hours and into the pre-market of the following day. We're much higher than we were yesterday. And we do have some trend lines we can draw so we can get an idea of where the breakdown could occur. For BBAI, if we open, it's going to be beneath VWAP that this trend line goes. But VWAP is going to be one of the earlier levels that I'd be watching for support. Looks like you also have some support at 555 as well. So that's basically what I'd be looking at with BBAI. If we go higher out of the open, I'd be looking at 590, 595 as resistance. If we go lower, I'd be looking at 555 as support, then VWAP, then probably 540 before we see a breakdown.
Okay, good stuff there on BBAI. Sorry to change ground quickly here, but I have to know if this is correct or not. It looks like this is correct. Mullen Automotive shares are trading higher after the company announced it's now accepting Bitcoin and Trump coin for EV purchases. Here's my thought. Like, does this actually have something that you can buy? Like, let's say I did want to trade my Bitcoin for this trash. Let's say in some alternate universe, that's actually something that I wanted to do. Where can I go buy these? Does anyone know?
Nope.
No, I didn't think so. Look, here's your catalyst. It's popping, Mullen. We've learned so many lessons here. Just there's something better. Like there's something better. There's something better that we can trade here. This is, oh my God, I'm actually angry that I'm looking at this.
I thought there was another mover this morning that was moving on a transaction that they had with stablecoin to buy real estate. I'm trying to see if I can find out which one that is. Okay, here we go. BLNE. This is a Benzinga exclusive. Beeline Holdings tells Benzinga Company's subsidiary Beeline Title has successfully closed its first crypto real estate transactions funded through the sale of cryptocurrency token, which is backed by real property. So that what you were talking about there reminded me of what Beeline was trying to do with, I guess, use crypto for real estate transactions. Similar in the same way, Mullen is there you go. Mullen is offering its own stable coin. So yeah, so this is really becoming a theme where every single company that's having a hard time is offering some kind of crypto to to buy or whatever with. This is going to get out of hand. This is going to get out of hand. But yeah, that's what I was referring to. Like, so you're going to see a lot of these headlines. We already are seeing a lot of headlines with stable coins and crypto treasuries, and you can buy this and buy that with all these different different cryptocurrencies. This is going to get out of hand.
Yeah, this is. And Day Trader, appreciate you doing the legwork here on the Mullen dealerships. I too had no idea that they had dealerships. I'll probably stay away from that. If the dealerships are anything like the stock, it's junk. It's junk. Jay, let me know if you're reshorting on this pop. I'm just out here having fun. Okay, and but by the way, good way to tie BLNE into that.
That's smart, Smita. Stay away from it, because if it's offering its own Bitcoin, it's probably crap.
Yep. Okay. Was there anything else that we wanted to cover here? SRFM. This had a huge move after we got off the show yesterday. By the way, this taking out the pre-market high on volume was your trigger there. That was a trade setup that we had been talking about here. This gapping up again here today. This is on the Palantir share acquisition. We talked about this yesterday. Looked like there was a little bit of a delayed reaction here to the afternoons. We're gapping up a little bit here today. It is worth noting in the pre-market, we traded over yesterday's intraday high. That's for certain going to be a key level here. I've got that value at 454 is that exact value. Pre-market high here this morning, 477. So those are definitely going to be two upside levels we'll take a look at here. 13, did you have anything on SRFM today?
Just that 230 level that I was watching all day yesterday. Couldn't get, we did trade above it, couldn't hold above it until about 1:50, almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We absolutely just ripped right through it and just took off. So just the only other thing I have is just that breakout level. As far as support from here, the price action in the after hours and the pre-market's telling me that 360 is looking like the support area that would need to hold if it comes back in. I realize that the 200 EMA is right beneath it, but it's based on the price action in the after hours and the pre-market here, it looks like 360 is the level that needs to support area that needs to hold.
Okay.
It seems like if we continue to hold VWAP into the open here, we might test that 476 high that we put in about half an hour ago.
Okay, good stuff there. Also, really quickly here, I just wanted to mention INDI, Jay Rice. I believe this was your semiconductor call from a while ago. This popping here on some news. Indie Semiconductor shares trading higher after Benchmark maintained a buy and raising the price target from 6 to 8. So just an honorable mention there. And then Pony. You guys wanted to take a look at Pony. This is actually one of the stocks, that folks wanted to take a look at here. Here it is. This is initially a smoked tuna amazing call. I think $4 was that initial call. We popped yesterday, had a really good day yesterday. We're popping again here in the pre-market, although we are flirting with VWAP here. We're actually beneath VWAP. Pony AI shares are trading higher after the company announced it had been added to the NASDAQ Golden Dragon China Index. That's your catalyst here today on Pony. This is a Chinese AI name that we've talked about. We've looked at. I would say use technicals for this one. Wouldn't be surprised if this came in. Okay, let's see if the chart tool. See, that's so weird. You know what I'm going to do? It's something. It's here. The problem yesterday, I've narrowed it down, I think. The problem yesterday occurs when I move to a solo chart on chart. If I go to the news feed and then I click to this, it doesn't freeze. And it's only while I'm on Restream. See how this is work? I don't understand. Okay, but we're figuring it out here and we're doing it live. Let's take a look at some. What? Go ahead.
Real quick with Pony AI, it looks like with the movement we've been getting in the morning here, $14 has to hold. That's been support. Alternatively, you have the resistance area at about. The high is 1478, but I'd be thinking that 1475 is the number we want to pay attention to. So that 75-cent range that we're in right now. I think those are going to be your support and resistance areas. $14 for support, $14.75 for resistance.
Big B's. I will do this later today just because I've done this before and it's fixed problems that I thought had no relation. This is an excellent call and a great reminder. Thank you. Okay, a couple of stocks that people wanted to take a look at here. We're going to start. I know we're running out of time here. We're going to start with MRVL. This is Marvell. This also really awesome chart setup. We have a possible inverse head and shoulders here. We have a break above the 500 and the 100 where we've done it kind of slowly. It actually looks like we're confirming an actual breakout. We do have the next target higher here at 83 and a potential gap fill past that at 88 here. So this to me especially based on the chart. It does look like a long setup. I understand that the RSI is at the higher end of the range here at 65, but we've got a lot of things in our favor here. If tech keeps going, like Dan Ives said at the beginning of this week, Marvell should benefit. 83, 88, your next target's higher here. 13, you got anything here on ticker MRVL?
It's in a parallel channel, a rising parallel channel right now. You can actually go to the 5-minute chart and just do your parallel channel. Yeah, look at since we got the close yesterday, it's been pretty perfect. So I think we just need to look at that parallel channel and that 65 EMA. I think that's going to be the support that we're going to want to pay attention to if we lose this parallel channel. But yeah, look at and I'm only referring to the after hours and into the pre-market this morning. I think you've got a couple.
Yeah, but look at this. This channel goes back several sessions.
Okay. So anyway, but for just for today, I'm looking at the bottom of this channel that we're in, which we're pretty close to losing, and then after that, the 65 EMA, also the $76 area. Those all right there that were just lost. That's what I was about to say. That's what I was about to point out, is that's going to be at the support area that we need to hold. And if we don't, we're going to go lower. Here we are. So the next one is going to be 75.14 down at the 200 EMA on the 5-minute that I see as support. We also have, looks like 75.50. That was an area prior to this in the after hours yesterday, prior to this move up into the close of the after hours. That seems like 75.50 was the resistance up until that point. So that's an area. 200 EMA is an area, and those would be the next support areas that I see that would provide a reversal if there is one coming.
Okay, good stuff there. All right, Smita, you guys were asked. I know we're open here. We'll take a look at the movers here in a sec. I know several people were asking about bull. This is Webull here. This did gap up, and actually, if you take a look here at the 15-minute chart, it sure does look like we carved out a bottom here at about $11. This would be this. That makes sense to me. I know it might be early here, starting to curl back up. So someone was asking here on can bull, I think it was Jay, can bull catch up to hood? I don't know if that's the case. Here's a story on Robinhood that I had from earlier. I'm not going to read it to you guys, but I'll go ahead and throw it in the chat. This outlines a lot of what Robinhood is doing to actually execute. And I would imagine that you would need to see some stuff from bull that is very similar. We're not seeing that yet. Now, nonetheless, the chart here, 13. Do you have an opinion on this? Do you think that 11 was carved out as the bottom here?
I don't know. I don't think what bull is offering as many financial options, and hood is way better than bull.
Yeah, I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing that at all here, folks. What I'm trying to do is figure out a roadmap of what it would take. What mile markers can we observe for bull closing that gap to hood? If hood is the leader and what bull wants to get to, what does it need to do as a company in order to close that gap?
I think I don't really want to even discuss these slow moving names right now, because we have a lot of other things happening right now. Bull is not as good as hood. I think that really is all I need to say about it. We have other things happening here, like BBAI hit that 589, almost that 590 I was looking for, in reverse went is going completely down. Pony AI tried to pop over 14, some of the highs leading up into the open here, got rejected. Marvell continues lower. GCTK, that popped up to 1590. ULY, that's falling down out of the gate here, and SRFM is losing its VWAP, and there that one goes. A lot of bearishness happening here with these movers this morning after they've had run-ups into the open.
No doubt. The antithesis of that, the flip side of that, if you will, Ondas. We did pop right to that 185 spot there and kind of came back, I guess. Yep, 184, 185 spot and came back. Again, watch that 185 level here, ONDS. I don't know if we get above it, but watch it. Which one?
Circle.
CRCL?
Yeah, Circle. So this one, we closed yesterday. This went lower into the after hours, found a bottom around 215.22. We almost hit that, and actually we hit that exactly out of the open here. And then we just reversed and went right up through VWAP. I don't know if looks like we're still trying to hold on to VWAP right now, but that bottom around 215.22. Let's see, what was this low here? 215.50. So pretty close to the bottom in the after hours yesterday. nice bounce off of that, trying to get back above and hold VWAP, not holding it at the moment. But if we do end up recapturing it, I'd be looking at 233 as the next area of resistance.
Okay. Good stuff there on Circle. This one's been wild. So figuring out any way to trade that one, totally helpful.
So am I cranky? No, I just want to make sure.
It's your turn today. I was cranky yesterday. It's your turn today.
No, I'm not trying to be cranky. It's just that I didn't want to spend too much time on things that are moving slowly versus the others that we were just talking about that are having some big moves right now. GCTK is halted to the downside. I'm sorry, who said that they were getting in that one earlier this morning? I think it was Jane. Are you still out there? Because she said, I think she was in that at 1333 or something like that. Somebody mentioned that, and now it went up to 1590 out of the open, and then sold off. It's halted the downside right now. Hopefully, you got out of that, whoever that was. Hello, one and all. We making money or what? Oh yeah, we're trying to. ULY bouncing off the 65 EMA. This may turn positive here.
VWAP there. Here, I can actually put that 15 EMA on. That VWAP there, 996, if it can get back up there.
Yep.
It was Jane. There you go.
Oh, well done, Jane. Hopefully you got out of that and captured those gains. That was a really good entry, especially, and I don't know that I would have taken it because that thing was ripping when she jumped in it, but that was, I think she nailed it.
Hims, by the way, this was another stock that folks wanted to take a look at. Remember, Hims really got smoked on the Novo Nordisk contract termination for the Wegovy weight loss drug. However, the chart here tells a different story. If we're able to break above 48.30 here, I mean, we'll see. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's only $2 away. If we're able to break above that, we do have a gap fill all the way up to the trend line. So some key areas to watch here on this going to be, let me actually get you the top end of this candle here. 48.35 is going to be the gap fill zone, and then the close of the open of this candle, 62.87.
So ULY, that's halted to the upside. It's still halted in that consolidation area in the pre-market before we opened. So I'd be watching for a movement over that out of the halt, but I think VWAP's going to provide some resistance at just under 10, or I'm sorry, just above 10. So $10 is probably going to be the next spot for ULY out of this halt. Don't even know if we're going to for sure if we'll get it, but it was halted the upside. I expect there to be a brief pop out of the halt.
GCTK, halted to the downside. I don't know if we called that one.
No, we talked about that with Jane, because I was making sure that she was getting out of that before this came down. I don't know how that ended up, but she had a nice entry. She was getting in this around 13 before it moved up to almost $16.
ASTS here. This really good stuff on anyone that was trading this one, whether it was from Story Trading or from us here. No offense to anybody, but 13, you had ASTS before they did. So either if you got it from either spot here, this did get the 50 prints that we were looking for here this summer. It's actually went to 54 yesterday. So really good stuff there on ASTS.
Look at that news. Look at that news headline.
ASTS Space Mobile shares trading lower after the company announced a registered direct offering to sell 9.45 million shares at 53.22.
53.22. So they're diluting their shares, but at a higher price, higher than it's been since what, ever?
SRFM 5 test. Sorry to change tracks.
SRFM MC.
This is the Surf Air Mobility that ran in the in the afternoon yesterday. It's popping again here out of the open.
Yep, that one's halted now too. Let's see if I can figure out where this one may end up going.
I still remember ASTS at 3.
Yeah. 530 is a resistance area for SRFM, it looks like, but it still potentially could go higher. Let me see here.
SONM testing its VWAP on this pop here today. AV, best in breed drone stock up 24%. Better than expected Q1 financial results. Yeah, I bet with everything going on. What a move here on AVAV. Did we go above all-time highs? Blue sky breakout here, ticker AVAV.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my is right. No position for me on that, but good stuff, AVAV.
So 224 was the next level I had of resistance, and we are using that as support now. This is what, all-time highs that we're seeing? Okay, here's another thing we could look at. Hold on a second. The high from June 20th, 2024, draw a trend line from there through the high of November 12th, 2024. And that gives us an area we can shoot for the next resistance for this move up here. That seems to be about somewhere in the mid 250s that this could go. So yeah, you start with June, the high from June of 2024, draw it through the high of November 2024. There's a target we can reach.
Oh, there it is. I love it, 13. Chris here. I got in at 13 and out at 15 on GCTK for a beautiful return. Love watching you guys and love all that you do. We love that you love that. And we love hearing when people are making money and bettering their life here. This is why we do this, folks. Good stuff.
Good. All right. BBAI came down to 537, pretty close to some of these lows. Certainly the 65 EMA, that's trying to provide some support and turn it around here. Still has the task of recapturing the VWAP, but didn't quite get to the pre-market lows of 531, 530. Just still was getting some support from the 65 EMA, and apparently under the trend line, an uptrend line on the bottom side of this price action we've been getting since yesterday. So that provided support as well. So kind of sideways, it looks like it's going to be for the moment until it makes its next move. But we have this, we have that 65 EMA as support, and we have the VWAP as resistance. Those are going to be the next two areas to watch for.
ULY resumed here.
All right, so there's a brief little pop above higher, and then we came lower, didn't we?
Yep.
So now we're at 840. That seems to be support based on what we were getting from the pre-market. Still trying to push higher. Looks like there's a seller in the way at 879 that they just took out. Next resistance is going to be 920, I think. ULY couldn't get it done, or is still trying to get it done, but this one getting sold off.
Mullen trying to go past its VWAP. LOL. Bumble here, by the way. Bumble stock has given up its prior loss. Bumble shares were trading lower after the company announced it was reducing the size of its team. Bumble here actually up 24%. Back of that news. BMBL trading higher here.
NKTR, this one from yesterday. Nectar, this is doing pretty well this morning. Just took out 27. That was a bit of a resistance area. Now it's at 29.41, 44. This is going higher.
Nice continuation from yesterday. You're right. QS is bouncing here.
All right.
QS bounced and retook that VWAP and that 15 EMA. I think we're still waiting for what, this 627, 630 breakout area. It's 10 cents away here on QS.
I have a 650 level. We do have that 645 in the pre-market. That's also an area to watch for. But I've got 650 marked off. After that, 730. This is, look, this is like 30-cent range that it's been trading in so far this morning. Maybe a little bit more than that. Keep in mind that this float is very, very heavy. It's not going to have the big moves that these other ones we've been trading are going to have. I know this looks like a big move, but this is just a bounce off the 65 EMA recapture of VWAP. We still haven't breached the highs of the pre-market. 400, over 440, something like that. Very, very large share structure. Just keep that in mind with this one.
BLNE, this looks like this tried to bounce here, but that was quickly evaporated. The bounce was anyway.
SRFM unhalted.
This testing 5 SRFM.
That means that GCTK could unhalt pretty soon too. I think they halted very close to when we were just talking about SRFM. We're getting asked. I know we've been getting asked more than once on this about thoughts on coin. Wow, this thing is in a broadening wedge, and it just took out 350, overnight. I think if this continues, it could easily run to 400. But then here we are. GCTK is open now and going lower underneath VWAP. But as far as coin goes, if there is some more upside left in this, I think 400 is going to be a big resistance area, if not here. And if we get resistance where we're at here at the 360 area, I'd be looking for 350 to provide some support if it comes back in.
Okay. Let me actually change to coin here. See if I can remember to put this on news. Here's the chart. Nope. Oh.
SONM is trying to go higher. It just recaptured VWAP, but there's a lot of sellers in the way. We need to see the volume's not bad, but it needs to have more volume if it's going to get through all these sellers on the way up here.
I got to try to go back to my main workspace. I can't mess around with this. Sorry, guys. Sorry, 13. I can't go to a big daily chart until I get this figured out.
Okay. No worries. SRFM, this looks like it's trying to push higher. Wants to go further up into the 5 handle, it seems. There we go. Higher it goes. 520 now. 523. Let me see if I can get an idea of where this is going to run to. Looks like we might be coming up to resistance. I think 530 might be the spot here at SRFM. We just hit it. So we might get a pullback, some pullback here. Would like to see it go higher, but this is the next resistance area I see. And if we do go through this, 590 to 6 looks like the next area above where we're at here. We are getting some pull off of 530 though. So if this does come back in, I would like to see it hold VWAP and set up again. But the area I just mentioned, that's next, 590 to 6. Wouldn't be surprised if we ended up getting that too.
GCTK is trying to establish some type of support down here about 1150. I've got that 15 EMA at 1120. Looks like it's bouncing off of that now. VWAP here 1209 if it can recapture it.
Getting asked by Fast Eddie on your QS info. Do you see any earnings? So their next earnings is unconfirmed for July 23rd. That would be their Q2 earnings.
Okay.
All right, SRFM still pushing higher. 547. That was a pretty good setup.
NVIDIA ripping to the highs here. Don't we have a breakout spot coming on NVIDIA? We sure do.
QS 625, 625, 630. That's the next spot to break out. We're right there. There's a large seller at 625. We take him out. We're going to 650.
Really quick here, 153 NVIDIA breakout spot, 153.
SRFM 557. Who's on SRFM? NKTR going bonkers. Let me see. Well, it's had a good morning so far, but the past 5-10 minutes is starting to put in a bit of a series of upper shadows here. I think I'd warrant a little bit of caution here with NKTR.
Yeah, this looks like a resistance area to maybe sell at, honestly. Ondis making a move back to that 185.
Actually, how does this look?
And SRFM, I'll tell you what, that does have some strength here.
One thing that we can
still pushing higher.
One thing with NKTR that we can do, draw a trend line from yesterday's high in the pre-market through yesterday's high in the regular session, and just keep going. We broke over that, and we're testing this trend line as support now. So one more time for NKTR, the highs from the pre-market yesterday. There you go. Perfect. Excellent. So that's what we're looking at right now. We're looking at this level of support, this trend line that we just drew. So if we lose that, I think we are coming back into the $27 area. 26.80 it looks like, actually.
TIGR, this can get wild if it gets above 10, by the way. We've traded this one before on a 10 break. Chime, your recent IPO. This is green here, spiking a little bit. Chime.
Is it time for Chime? Let me see here. Let's see what we got. Oh wow, this is having a nice move up. This thing's been absolutely hammered.
Yeah. BlackBerry getting a mention here. Remember, BlackBerry has a conference today, so perhaps there's news being made out of that conference. BlackBerry ripping here. BlackBerry shares trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q1 financial results and raised its guidance. So they also had earnings. But really quick, just to kind of go back to that, I can't remember which one it is, so give me a sec here.
Chime 32 is a spot of interest. Could be a breakout spot, or it could be major resistance. $32.
It was the general and special meeting event that I was talking about.
So QS trying to make its way through that 625 seller, still working on it. And if we break it, I think we could see 650. Hasn't been able to get through that seller yet at 625. Still working on that. Pony AI getting support from its 200 EMA on the 5-minute. Looks like GCTK is halted to the downside. Man, this thing had a great pre-market, and then it just absolutely fell over. Support seems to be down around 9. The next area that I would be looking at, possibly 950, but I think 9 looks better. How are we all doing over here? Bring back the BlackBerry. The last BlackBerry I owned was a BlackBerry Storm.
Same. And I'll be honest with you, I liked that. I liked
cool.
The traditional hardware keyboard BlackBerry, but I also liked the Storm.
My whole screen clicked. I thought that was pretty cool.
I liked it. My friends that had iPhones thought I was stupid and made fun of me for it, but I liked it. AV, by the way, this pulled back off that impulse high move from earnings. Still watch that as a potential breakout spot to the upside. I'm seeing massive NVIDIA call flow here. This did trade up to that possible breakout level. Seeing a whole bunch of call flow here. Short term, a little bit longer term as well. Swing length on that.
We are going to get a golden cross in AV. That's happening. Maybe this week, definitely by next week.
Tesla getting ripped up here out of the open as we continue to plunge on Tesla. 330 now. Wonder where the buy spot here is on this.
Oh, are we getting a massive pull?
Maybe 328 here.
328.80 is the 20-day SMA.
Yep.
And then right beneath that, I have 325, my 325 level.
Okay, so 325, 328, your possible support area, first support area there on Tesla.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, that 328 was a breakout level from Monday in the pre-market. So that makes a lot of sense here.
A lot of these names that we were looking at this morning are just getting absolutely hammered. Some more than others. QS moved through 625. That's moving up towards 650. It's got 634 right now. Slow mover. Large float. Wes is watching MREN. He's mentioning that to Crow. MREN, that's Marin Software. We've seen that one do some nice moves in the past. That's up 25% this morning. Looks like they have earnings in 12 days on July 7th. Also looks like the 200-day SMA is the bane of its existence, while the 50-day SMA is the reason for living. So you have the 50-day SMA is providing support, the 200 SMA providing resistance. And that's been the trade so far most of this month. So the next move probably back up towards the 200 SMA again. Thoughts on FedEx? They just had earnings yesterday.
Yes, they did. Here, we can bring that up.
And, the report looked good, except when you get to the guidance, that's where things didn't look so great. Let's see here. They saw Q1 adjusted EPS in the range of $3.40 to $4 versus the $4.15 estimate. So significantly lower. But this is also going through a bit of a change. They're spinning off their FedEx Freight business segment. Lots of things need to happen here first, so we can get some, a little bit more accuracy on the reporting, because I still think you have elements of the of the business that they're spinning off incorporated into this report. So we'll see how this ends up reporting post spinoff. But it is certainly down after it didn't meet guidance expectations.
NVIDIA basically went right to 152 and stopped there. Andrew Senior TV. Ryan, what are your thoughts on RCL? That's Royal Caribbean. So the chart on this is actually great. Got a couple of thoughts. First of all, I don't like the cruise ships just in general, especially after what we saw during COVID, for example. However, the chart here on RCL sure looks good. We actually had a recent pop. I believe this is another blue sky breakout here on RCL. Indeed, it is. So another break higher here. Let me see if I can get my main chart to function here. This is probably a disaster. Nope. Look at that. It's working fine because I left it on the news to up. There it froze. Damn. I thought I figured something out there, 13. Let me see if I can get RCL pulled up here real quick. And then we'll take a look here on the bigger chart. Here we go. RCL. Did you freeze again? Yeah, you sure did.
RFM halted to the downside. It's lost VWAP. GCTK is this still halted, or did it halt and unhalt? I'm not sure. SONM getting some support from the 65 EMA. We'll see if it turns around. BBAI trying to find a bottom of 525. Pony AI trying to turn around as well. Man, all these things are really leaking out here. It looks like QuantumScape couldn't quite reach 650, got up to 635. Now coming back down to 625, looking for some support here. And ULY is trying to get back, still trying to make its way to VWAP. All right, looks like Pony AI might be getting a lift.
Sorry, guys. I just got to stop doing this.
ULY is getting a bounce. It's still got to get its way through this pre-market consolidation, but it's working on it. Needs to get to VWAP at 9. I have it at 946. Some of you might have a different value than that. Right up to VWAP now. This could get going, ULY. Looks like Pony and ULY is trying to turn around. We might see a return of some of these movers. Looks like LAES, after selling off and bottoming this morning, is recapturing its VWAP, trying to go higher. Volume's not that great, though. Nectar Therapeutics. This thing just suddenly ripped up to 34.83 and came back in.
That was a nice trend line break there on Nectar.
Yep. Now it's coming back down to VWAP. If it loses VWAP, that trend line is going to be the next support level.
Poet Technologies. I don't know what's going on with that one.
Circle made a new low. Could go lower.
CETX, this was mentioned by Wits. I can't even, thing won't even take letters here.
Let's see. 3.2 million share float. Looks like they had a good report. Although I don't see the filing. Oh, this is another, hold on a second. Okay, I just had to check and see if this was one of the ones from this movers list this morning. Looks like this is another NASDAQ recompliance case here with CETX. They just did all that earlier this month. They also had an offering, it looks like, that they've completed. CETX
UIEN ripping again. Oh my God. BlackBerry back up towards the highs. CETX continuing here. ELNE, that looks like that might be toasted.
I got to check something here with BlackBerry.
Cooler down another 10% here today.
Okay. So BlackBerry has once again come up to its 50-month SMA and is getting some resistance there. Really do need to see us close over that this month, because if it does, there's a little bit of a pattern that happens here with this. Every time we get a close over the 50-month SMA in BlackBerry, it tends to go higher.
What value do you have for that?
I have $5.28.
Okay. So 528. So that's basically the impulse high that we set here today. You're saying you want a daily close above this level or a monthly close?
Monthly.
Monthly
If you
close.
if you go to a monthly chart, it should show you what I'm referring to. If you have the 50,
yeah, it's on my other chart. I mean, no, it's really annoying. Like it's really, really annoying. Like I cannot go there right now. I'll try it again. Let's see if this freezes. Yep, totally locked up.
Huh. But anyway, so that 50-month SMA, very, very close eye on keeping on this. If we do get a close, we almost had this happen back in February where it closed above the 50-day SMA, and we could have got that movement. But unfortunately, it came back in and closed lower before the end of the month. So if we do end up closing over this, we do have 5 days left for it to make that happen. This could go higher following a close over the 50-month SMA. Just a pattern that seems to repeat in that stock.
I'll check the house data when I unfreeze my platform here.
SPY. What's the SPY looking like?
Here we go. U.S. new home sales for May, 623,000. That's versus the 694,000 estimate. So those new home sales still soft. New home sales month over month for May, minus 13.7% versus the 9.6% prior read. Wow. Definitely a bad number there. Sorry, again?
Look at Rocket's reaction to that.
Sold off?
Yeah.
Sorry, my stuff is not working here. I'm not as fast as you, 13. I'm sorry, man.
It's all good, man. It was open. It opened this morning, and it looks like. Well, I think it was already starting to sell before we opened, but it hit a high of like a 512. But then as soon as we got this headline, it started selling off, and we lost over 50 cents. ULY back up to VWAP. Is it going to take it out this time? That's the question. If it does, I'd like to see a 10 print. Bad home sales must be why LMND is getting hammered? Possibly.
Here's a possible VWAP test here on ULY.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I'd like to see it take that out and go to 10. Looks like GCTK is open still. It looks like it's at a support area based on the pre-market price action. So if we lose this, the next area I'd see support is down around 850.
And then 8 probably after that. Clicking on the wrong things here. BlackBerry looking like that might try to resolve higher right here.
Yeah,
AVAV did resolve higher out of the same type of flag through 240.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jonathan Cooper is mentioning that Powell is going to speak now. All right. Looks like Pony trying to recapture its VWAP. SMCI is up on volume, says Steve Cawthorn. Wisdom, you have a wonderful rest of your week, sir.
Pony trying to recapture the VWAP. EYEN getting mentioned here by WIS. That's right through the pre-market high. And yesterday, this is a good call here, WIS. Sorry I didn't get to this faster. Nice breakout from the yesterday intraday high, which coincided with today's pre-market high. EYEN now 11 plus on that move.
You might have a trend line there with that it just went to, possibly. QS just reversed off the 65 EMA again, recaptured VWAP, looking for this to try and push higher. If it can't, I think it's if it comes back in underneath VWAP, it could end up losing the 65 EMA and going lower.
Here's the trend line I think that you were referencing. I just guessed based on looking at it, but you're absolutely right. We are for sure testing this right now.
Yeah, that's it. That is it. What else we got going on here? NKTR, is that trying to bounce off of VWAP? It looks like it's trying to. Still have some resistance around 32, though.
What a break through the trend line this was.
Yeah. Looks like ULY is still trying to deal with VWAP. I think some of these names are starting to come back. GCTK trying to hold. I'm sorry. GCTK is trying to turn around. We just had a neutral candle in the last 5 minutes, so maybe we get a reversal. Otherwise, it's going to be a continuation. SONM, that's trying to turn around its 65 EMA. BBAI getting some support from its 200 EMA on the 5 minute. Needs better volume if it's going to come back up. Microsoft looking to make a new high of day. How about a new all-time high? Because that's all it's been doing lately.
Is it right up there? Oh yeah.
Past 3 days have been all-time highs. New all-time highs.
Oh yeah.
Friday. New all-time high Monday. New all-time high yesterday. And
that's
today.
Your blue sky breakout.
Yeah, and still looking for that 500. I've been calling for since October last year.
Jay here saying breath is not so hot, led by only a few large cap names. I concur with that. And in fact, I'm trying to look at the unusual options scanner here, and I'm seeing very, very few transactions. Normally, this is much more than that. I am, however, seeing NVIDIA lead that. There's some Microsoft on here, but it appears to be mostly NVIDIA.
Pony AI, it looks like that's coming back. It's still trying to recapture that VWAP. And then $14, also the 65 EMA would be next. Keep an eye on Pony. It looks like it's really trying to come back up. Big seller at 14 too. All right. What else? Looks like ULY slipped a bit and is trying to recapture, still trying to recapture VWAP.
Folks, really quickly here on this. I know that I have a long-term view on this, but remember what I've been saying recently. The performance of this stock, I mean, come on, Pro, just do something. The performance of this stock is questionable, given that what we've seen here. Anytime that you get an opportunity to maybe take some gains on this, I think that that's going to be smart. I'm definitely going to be holding a piece for this to really make a move towards 10, but I am just not in a position where I can I got to trade around this core position a little bit. So I would say, again, I was just outlining how this 185 is a pretty huge level here from a possible trend line. I would say if you get to these resistance areas, be sure that you are at least taking some of the gains there. Get yourself paid on this so that nobody's underwater. I really don't want anyone to be hurt from holding on for a bigger move that just doesn't materialize with this company. We've had plenty of time to make some money on this. Be smart about it.
The Smosh, SRFM doesn't look dead to me. It looks like it's just still trying to recapture $5. There's a seller there that's keeping the price from going higher. So we get enough volume to take out that $5 seller, then I think that we'll see some better price action. But we're just not getting that quite yet. We just need better volume in order to take them out. It's about almost 12,000 shares. that it has to chew through in order to go higher. So not saying that it's done yet, but if we can't get above that $5 seller, then it might be. Pony's still trying to get high above that VWAP. ULY, this is still trying to get above its VWAP. GCTK still sideways, might not be able to go much higher. We are still in that same $10 area where we were getting support earlier. SONM still above its 65 EMA. BBAI, this thing losing its 200 EMA. This may end up going back down to 480. QS starting to look a little weak now as well. Getting a pull here in BlackBerry. It's losing its VWAP.
All right.
And we're going to get any good movement here out of ULY? I really would like to see a recapture of this VWAP. But volume needs to be better on that one.
So BlackBerry did lose its VWAP. ULY was the other one you're looking at?
ULY, I'm just waiting to see if this can get to its VWAP here. It's got a couple of tests trying to get over it. The rejection pulled it down almost to the 65 EMA, but it recaptured 9 and 15 EMAs, and it's still trying to push up to VWAP. But just need better volume than this.
Bumble pulled back. That might be at a bounce spot. EYEN still going towards that trend line. We'll see.
Jay, I failed to mention this. Thank you for bringing this up. But a lot of these cybersecurity names are green today. Like I'm looking at my watch list, and the only ones that are not green are going to be BBAI, CSPI, and DTST. Everything else that I have on my watch list is green.
PanW had another move back above 200 today. It was like 202 yesterday, but it moved up past 205. CrowdStrike, I think, looks similar, 13.
Yeah, CrowdStrike.
Yep.
You have Okta, PanW, Sentinel-1, Cloudflare, Intrusion, INTZ. That's one of the better movers today. That's actually the second highest cybersecurity mover behind BlackBerry today. So lots of cybersecurity happening. So I think the increased fear of a Iranian cyber attack or an attack from another bad actor is concerning the populace, which has investors thinking, hey, maybe it's time to get into some of these cybersecurity names. That's probably just the thought. Don't know if it's true. What's up with Zscaler? Everything the cybersecurity is up today. MC Midnight. Everything that's just look at the ETFs that Jay Rice was just mentioning. Hack is up. Bug is up. These all the cybersecurity names are doing really well today on what I think is likely over cybersecurity attack fears. Well, we're under a cyber attack. I mean, I would imagine we'd hear about it if we were. Could be. None of these are looking great. Nothing's looking great. Maybe Nectar, but other than that, not really liking the way anything's looking. And the market's had a nice couple of days. It could use a cooling off, I think. Let's see, where are we at here on the SPY?
SPY's holding here 607, 608.61 was your high there. We talked about the next upside spot being a possible run at that all-time high of 613. Honestly, I don't think we're going to get that today, at least not with the news that we have.
I don't think we're going to be getting it until we can chew through all the other previous all-time highs. The one that we're currently dealing with is the 607.91 previous all-time high. That was a really good resistance area yesterday. Still a good one today. We actually opened, but it's about 50 cents beneath it. And this looks like this candle that we have here. I mean, we still have a whole day left, but we need to. I would be curious to see how this today's candle closes, and if we have if it closes like it is, it's shaped right now, that would be pretty concerning, like a reversal is coming. So we'll end up we'll just have to wait and see what we end up getting here today. But Getting a reversal candle, this shooting star here, that's not what you want to see after a big rally, because that indicates that reversal to the downside is coming.
Real quick here, Quantum saying, not surprising that the home sales are down. There are a lot of sellers expecting top dollar for their homes, but the buyers aren't biting, so they're just sitting on the market longer and longer. We're also, in addition to this, Quantum, we're also seeing record number of seller concessions in order to get transactions approved. So not good. And actually, I think it was not yesterday, it was the day before. Our real estate expert in Happy Hour was saying this is the worst time to be a seller. And she's currently doing that.
Yeah, and she also brought up something very interesting about Progressive, ticker PGR. They are engaged in a program for first-time home buyers, and I think they're only doing.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about this. 13.
The first 100 they're only doing this with, but this is going to be. Hold on a second. It's helping with their down payment. Let me see if I can get you the name of that program. It was called Open the House program or some initiative. Give me 1 second here.
Okay, I'm just testing my chart because I'm making some changes to my system to try and figure out why this is breaking.
All right.
And every time I try it knocks me out of commission here. I'm sorry, guys. Tesla, by the way, still pounding lows there. 322 is our spot now on Tesla.
So it's Progressive. That's Progressive Insurance launches new initiative to help first-generation home buyers. This is going to be kind of a grant program. It's only eligible for up to 100 applicants. But I think more than anything else, because 100 applicants, it doesn't seem like that's really a whole lot of people at all. If they're trying to get business doing this way. But I think more importantly that this is a data grab. Hanging that carrot for 100 eligible applicants, and it's offering a $13,500 grant to assist with down payments for these 100 applicants. But I think they're just trying to get more of more data about where the buyers are, where they could potentially insure. Because as you know, if you may not have noticed, Progressive isn't available in a lot of states anymore that have had recent natural disasters like Texas. I think they're out of Florida as well. I don't think they're covering California anymore. So this seems to me like this is a program that they've set up to figure out where some of the home buyers are and where they can spread their insurance coverage. I think this is just more than anything a data collection scheme. Interesting though. CREV is halted. What's going on with CREV?
Just popped here and then halted. It's not halted. It resumed. It just resumed. So I guess it did pop into a halt here and now is resuming lower.
This is a carbon fiber wheel Australian company. I mean, I guess I must have missed the article where the rubber meets the road.
I don't see any news on here on this one.
Yeah, let me see what else I can. So it's a low float. What's the short interest like? Nah, can't be that.
GCTK giving it all back. Bumble breaking down. BlackBerry not looking great.
Okay, so the only thing I can think of that's happened here with CREV is relative volume. Yesterday we had a big change in volume relative to how it normally trades. It's usually under 100,000 shares a day. Yesterday we had traded over 5.3 million shares. So I think this is a relative volume move.
Here is SRFM. This was a good mention, Daniel. This is now pushing away from its VWAP. Really need to get above this 515 spot. I'd probably put 530-ish next there. Then 556 is that high. I would watch. Yeah. You want to see if this volume expands here. I think you might have a long side trade on that. Tesla is still searching. 323 down here on Tesla. I haven't seen, but that's the other thing, folks. I haven't seen anything interesting come across the wire on the unusual option scanner. Let me see if I can filter it some more. Maybe that'll help.
Well, what are we waiting for here at this point? I think the next big things that are coming up later this week are going to be jobless claims, GDP, and PCE. We get that tomorrow and Friday. What other catalysts do we have in the market here, aside from the ongoing conflicts over in the Middle East? Joseph Schmo. So relative volume. So when you look at a stock and it trades on any given day, you're going to take a certain period of time, and in this case, like 100 days, 100 trading days, and you're going to look at the average volume across those 100 days. So when we get a move in a stock where we have traded, like, let's say 1.5, 2 times or more than the average volume, that's a relative volume trade. So that change in volume is going to get a lot of attention from traders that are scanning for this, and they're going to continue to move that stock up. That's what we're getting here with the one we were looking at just a moment ago. I think it was CREV. Is that the one?
So here is what 13 is talking about real quick. If you use it, More Than Pro has traditional relative volume, which basically utilizes the entire candle. Finviz has this, a free tool. Finviz has a means of this. So when we're talking about people scanning for relative volume, if you did a simple like 1.5 times average volume scan, this is all we have here for today. But at the end of the day, this list is much more populous. And often you'll see that these stocks often have some type of follow-up move the following day. Sometimes there's continuation in the same direction. Other times it's just kind of a run for the exits, and maybe it reverses here. But this is what we mean when we talk about that. Relative volume is something that many short-term traders scan for, both intraday and just through at the end of the day when they're preparing for the next day ahead. And so when we notice that stocks are moving on one day, maybe they have no news, but like the last day or the last 2 days that had outsized volume, we feel pretty confident in assuming that the relative volume is what made this kind of pop or what made this show up on trader scans.
I hate to ask you, because I know it's been giving you some problems, but is there any way we could get a daily chart for CREV so we can show them what we're talking about here? Because I don't think it's as well illustrated how this works, better than just looking at the chart on the daily and seeing what we had yesterday versus the day before and versus now.
I don't know what you just did, 13, but I am not freezing now. Maybe you bless this. I don't know. Maybe you're working some witchcraft with the developers. I don't know, but this is working. Okay.
Go forth and be profitable.
I mean, let's try it. Let's just be happy, right? Glass half full. Here's your CREV. Okay, no, wait. Hang on.
You got a little too excited.
No. I will not be fooled by that. No. I was born at night, but not last night. Here you go on CREV. Here is the relative volume that 13 is talking about. I can actually make this a little bit easier for you to see. You can see yesterday, look at these days where the volume was noticeably higher than the day before. They all correspond with a huge move higher.
Now, sometimes the following day doesn't produce some of the same results, but it's always something that these traders are scanning for. They see an increase in relative volume. They're thinking, this is getting attention. It could certainly move again tomorrow. We ended up getting that today. So that big change in volume over 5.5 times the volume comparatively is getting a lot of attention. That's helping lift CREV higher. We did get a print above the 200-day SMA, but we have come back in. That's a relative volume.
So there you go. I don't know what you did, 13. I really don't. But this appears, I mean, here, we're going to see how good you actually are. That's what we're going to do here. We're going to go back. I'm going to leave this on the chart. We're going to go back to the main workspace.
Good vibes from Texas.
Hey, I'll take good vibes from Texas. Let's go. Let's do it. All right. First of all, Chime hitting more new highs. I know we talked about this one a little bit earlier. That's hitting more new highs. I'm going to change to Tesla here, which is re-hit the lows. Tesla, look out for possible next leg lower here. Yikes. TSLA. All right, now let's see if 13 actually fixed something. Here we go. Chart tool, and it froze. Okay. So it was just temporary. It was just temporary here.
So with Chime getting over 32, that was, the next resistance level I was looking for. The one after that is going to be 34. I think we might run into some more resistance if we get back up to 34. After that, I think there's some areas around the 36, 37 handle. But I think 38 looks strongest as a resistance area. Since we lost that, we have been unable to recapture it. That's only over the first few trading days, and this is in this existence of the stock. But 38 would be the next level after 34. I'd be looking at. There's probably somewhere we want in around 36, 37, but nothing doesn't stand out as much as 38 does. How low is Tesla going to go?
Super Sean says he's bids at 314. Sean, are those your bids? Someone else's bids? What bids are those? Good stuff though on 314.
Well, I do have the 200. I'm sorry, not EMA. 200 day SMA at 311.69. That's the level I'd be watching for. Certainly, 314 isn't bad either. I mean, there's certainly a lot of support between the 200 and that 315, 314 area that we can draw on. We're also getting pretty close to a golden cross here. So if this continues to hold up and we don't lose, 312, 311, 312, should see a golden cross next week. But we can't be selling off like this, or else we'll lose that possibility.
We talked about cybersecurity earlier here. RBRK, one of the newer cybersecurity stocks. This has actually done pretty well recently. Take a look at this. This back on here near the high is plus 2.5%.
I don't have this added to my list, so it's added now.
RBRK. And this is actually a pretty good one, too. Data security solutions for organizations ranging from the largest companies worldwide to mid-sized, smaller companies. Its platform is architected to help organizations achieve cyber resilience, which encompasses, cyber posture and cyber recovery.
CREV looks like this is the carbon fiber tire from Australia. This is looking like it's setting up to try and go to 4. I don't want to say that it certainly will, but just keep an eye on it because it looks like it's trying to make that move. Volume needs to be a lot better in order to do it, though.
And this area that we're in up to about 375 is a pretty significant supply area, so we would need some strength to get through this. Looks like we actually tried to do that earlier, couldn't quite hold it.
BBAI coming down to that 480 level. This is where I think we're going to get some support. We'll see how correct I am. ULY, this has been going mostly sideways all morning, still getting support from the 65 EMA. GCTK also getting support from its 65 EMA, might be finding a bottom. We'll have to see if that's the case. A lot of these names just kind of trying to find a bottom and turn around. Marvell, MRVL, that's turning around, found a bottom around 74.60, trying to recapture the 200 EMA in the process right now. Okay, here we go. CREV, it's pushing up. Might see a break over the 388 high and up to 4.
We want this volume to continue to expand here. Look what this thing did yesterday when it really got volume. We got a nice move there. We would like to see that move here up to 4.
Yep, 390.
And I'll tell you what, the other thing is be ready, because you probably, if you're in this right now, if you're trading this, I would not be afraid to take gains on this move if you keep getting it.
Yep, that's what I would. I totally agree with that. I think that would be wise to be selling into this move because the volume isn't really that great. And even though you are getting higher prints, I think you'd want to be selling into these higher prints because that volume could evaporate quickly.
We'll see if we get that here. Here's Bumble. Nope, all of these All of these brutal. I'll tell you what, the CREV is the one that's on deck right now. I don't really see anything else from these movers list that are particularly interesting at all.
Well, GCTK was looking interesting because it was seemingly bottoming. Same thing. Well, maybe not.
Call me skeptical on GCTK.
You can be skeptical all you want. I'll be right there with you.
Yeah.
Especially these are all these mover names that don't hold up. Skeptical is the name of the game.
Yeah.
CREV though, 395 is the high now, almost a 4. Don't know what we're going to get when we get to 4, but like we were just saying, it wouldn't be. We would not hold it against you if you were selling into this strength.
No, I'd make sure. I make sure you capture any gains that you can get, and good stuff there on the 4 call. That worked. Cha-ching.
Yep, that was a nice one. That setup was pretty apparent, and we're getting a little bit of a pull off of this. I don't know if we're going to go higher than 4, but if you were trading this, hopefully you made some good money there. Looks like QS trying to recapture 65 EMA. This still has it. I don't know about QS. I haven't known about this one. I haven't had the greatest opinion on it just because of the float so large. I don't think I'd be trading this one today, even with the news it had.
Oh my God, Tesla, the only stock on my option scanner here, and I don't have any filters applied.
Well, it looks like CREV did print a little bit higher, and it could still continue to do so. 409 is the high now. Really coming in now. Getting some support, though. So there's 2 candles from 10:15 and 10:20 that had similar closes and opens around the 377 level. That appears to be, well, it was support for the moment, but it just lost it. Okay, well, that's it for CREV. Hope everybody had a good time with that one.
Quick. You had to be quick on that one.
No, Pro nailed it.
At least they gave it something, though.
Pro nailed it. Hell yes. He's cacawing over here. That's what I want to see. I was getting asked a question here. Wait a second. Can I look at Lemonade? Next possible support.
Sure.
1 second. 1 second. Oops. The M comes before the N.
That's another one. I tell you what, if they ever release an LMM, I can't even say the wrong ticker correctly. If they ever release a ticker that's LNMD, we're in big trouble because I hope we're going to make so many mistakes with tickers. Here is the correct tickers chart, though. We actually did break beneath that trend line that we had here. So the retest of the trend line, I would say, failed so far.
I like the 20-day SMA because if you start a trend line on May 22nd of this year and draw it up through the low from June 18th, that's the trend line I'd be watching for for the price to lose. You're also getting that trend line right in the same area with the 20-day SMA, so I do like that moving average. Should you end up losing that, 36 looks like a really good support level. If you draw a line at 36 and look to the left, I think you can understand why. And I think just before that, $40 might also be a support level. So for me, it's going to be that 20-day SMA, $40 and $36. How about that? That's what I would be looking at for support levels.
There you go. ADTX getting mentioned and on the scanner here. Did we have news on this, Wiss? What happened in here? ADTX. Nope. Last news here was from Friday, June 20th.
That's a good one, Joe. LMNOP would take me back to kindergarten.
Oh, God. So I still recite that alphabet. Like when I'm trying to figure out letters, like I'll think to myself, like ABCD, LMNOP. Like I still do that. I guess I'm embarrassed to say that, but I absolutely still do that. ADTX, this was a great call. Was this moving higher here now?
SRFM might be coming back. It's recaptured its VWAP.
This still looking at the 525 level as resistance. We really have not been able to pop over that.
I see Jane was mentioning that. Great mention.
Which one?
The one we were just looking at.
SRFM? Perfect.
CREV is halted to the downside. Whew.
Yes, it is.
Man,
Boy.
I think I don't think you need to say it. I already feel it. I'm glad that we were saying what we were saying about this one the entire time.
A lot of these movers, so we'll sometimes we'll be talking here about like a particular scalp or a particular mover, or maybe even a list of them, and then one of them will end up going buck wild, and it'll, let's say it opens at $1.50 and it goes to $4 or something like that, and then but a lot of the moves, majority of them are more like this, and so I think that you're probably better off long term hitting these, focusing on the short-term moves instead of trying to hold out for the long, big home run. And again, going back to one of the other discussions, if you want to play for some of those home runs, I think leaving a very small piece on for that is the way to go. But when you get moves like this, Krev is showing you get a nice little move there, nice little setup for a scalp. It immediately gave it back. So don't be afraid to take that. Don't be afraid to take that. Sorry, 13. I think I ran you over there.
No, you're fine. Just want to point out that MRVL, this is recapturing its 200 EMA on the 5-minute now. The MACD is showing that we might be curling back up here to recapture VWAP. Keep an eye on MRVL. We might have some good trading happening here. That VWAP is at 75.50. That was a support area earlier this morning before we lost it. So that's going to be resistance now. Could see a big move through that if we get enough volume.
Yeah, and I agree with Crow here. This is not the day to hold for higher.
Yep.
Just take them if you get them. Yeah.
How's Tesla looking now?
Tesla does look like maybe it's bottoming here. It's kind of trading sideways. Might be putting in an interim bottom here. Maybe this would be a good afternoon play if this has any type of regression back to the mean, being down 5%. Robert, good morning, my man. How are you doing today?
Hey, Robert.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of consolidation from the recovery after the the Trump-Musk drama show. Thinking that 320 might be a good spot. I don't have any guarantee that that's going to hold up there, but that's about the middle of where this consolidation is after we rebounded from that whole episode. So 320 is the level I'd be keeping an eye on for Tesla. Just for now, that's what the level looks like to me. SRFM, I'm still waiting for this to make a move. Go ahead.
It's really quickly. I just wanted to highlight something here that Robert is saying. You don't need a ton of calls to make good profit. Be patient and keep an eye on the options and the Greeks and stuff like that. Wait for the good calls to come. This is a really good piece of advice. I know sometimes it looks appealing to maybe just load up on options on some of these. You don't actually need that. If you follow some of those spots really well, just one or two or maybe even just a handful of calls is going to do it for you. Big Bear Hug, thinking of buying some Nike. Let me ask the group here. Does anyone have any thoughts on Nike for their earnings report, which is tomorrow after the market closes? I know there's been some discussion amongst our ecosystem here about Nike, potential upside for Nike. I know we got the World Cup coming in 2026, all of that stuff. Anyone have a long or short thesis on Nike at all? I'd be curious.
I still own it. I'm playing it for the longer term. I think that this is just me personally, so you do your own due diligence, but I think It's undervalued. I know that some folks have, in conversation I've had, they're concerned about the dividend, but I don't think that the dividend's at any risk of being cut or canceled or anything like that. They've consistently raised it over 24 years, and they are doing share buybacks. So if they were going to have to not raise capital, but if they were going to have to free up money for operations, they'd start with the share buybacks. They'd stop those before they'd even go anywhere near the dividends. I think this is undervalued. I think it's going to do better over the longer term. They're the largest sports apparel brand in the world. That gives them a large economic moat. And there was one other point I was going to make with this one. I think that the expectations are incredibly low for their earnings. So any positivity out of their earnings is going to help lift this stock, I think. So
you think it's going to be fairly easy to jump over a rather low bar?
Yes.
Okay. Interestingly enough here, I'm not a Dune guy, so I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Muad'Dib. Muad'Dib? Okay, Muad'Dib. Nike will do well once they release their new Rams uniforms. That's right. I think since 2012, the NFL jerseys have been Nike branded. Someone check me on that. I might be wrong on that. It's been a bit, though. I don't know. I don't know that this stock's going to move on jersey sales here. Yeah, but good job replacing those Rams unis, because I think the last one, it had like that gray water. It looked like bath water. I don't know what they were doing there. Hey, sorry, 13.
Over 40% of the World Cup teams use Nike. Kit.
And I think their kits. I also think Nike and Adidas are the primary shoe retailers for soccer players, right?
Is that how you pronounce the name?
Adidas. Yeah, I believe so.
I thought it was Adidas.
Yeah, I've always thought that too, but I think that's just the American way of saying it wrong. Okay. I could have. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't mind being wrong. I've been wrong before.
What is it, Chad? Is it Adidas or is it Adidas?
And don't just spell the name.
Yeah, because that's not going to help us. That's a good point.
And Ray goes, yes.
Which one? So AT, our producer, says it's the way you say it, 13. It's Adidas.
Okay.
Zoltan would like a word with you, AT. Ryan's is right, says Big Bear Hog. Fairchild with the phonetics, my guy.
And this is why we have a market. This is why we have a market. Nobody's agreeing.
You guys are awesome. I didn't think that we were going to get into a discussion about that.
Well, I'm glad to see that nobody has any open trades that aren't working. We're talking about a shoe brand pronunciation.
My new trade from yesterday is boring AF today. Home Depot is basically flat, doing nothing, down 0.16%.
CREV coming back. It just recaptured its VWAP, but the volume is very low. Be careful with this one. I don't think there might be a trade here, but I think that we already looked at and captured the good move here. If there's more to go, I feel like you could get trapped in this. So just be careful with CREV. Marvell still moving up higher, looking for a VWAP recapture.
I had way too much fun with the Adidas discussion there. Here is Marvell.
How does the European say it? And is it Nikkei?
Isn't that the Japanese stock exchange? The Nikkei. I'm sorry. I'm having too much fun here.
Hey, look at this. Marvell is trying to recapture that VWAP. This has been a great rebound off of 74.60.
You think Marvell trading in sympathy with NVIDIA here, which has basically just moved higher all day?
Let me look at some of these other chip names, and I'll tell you. AMD up 4%. Broadcom up 1.2%. Yeah, I think the entire chip sector is trading up together with NVIDIA.
Oh,
seems like that's the case to me. Porsche is another discussion. How about the chip brand spelled UTZ?
Utz.
That's right. A lot of people are pronouncing it Utz.
Big Bear Hug, how is the AG1 thing going? It's going. It's definitely doing something.
GCTK trying to turn
put
around.
It that way. Definitely doing something. Now, I got the one from Costco, so I know that they might have a new formulation, an updated formulation from AG1. Can't speak to that, but the traditional AG1 blend, you can get it at Costco. It's doing something, no doubt.
I like how I mentioned Utz, and Anthony is like, don't get me started. I knew I did. I'd strike a nerve with somebody if I hit that one. Wow.
Samel did the one I was thinking about, Porsche and Porsche. These cars are fast, so I don't really think either's wrong, but that's just me. Apple actually doing pretty well here today, too. Apple trading higher. Amazon pretty boring here today. That's probably why we didn't see Izzy. Uber, that was the other stock that we talked about earlier that I didn't check in on today.
So is that your bellwether?
Uber's also boring.
When Izzy shows up, it's like you go immediately to Amazon and see how it's trading.
Yes.
Oh, that's why he's here, because it's trading.
Yes. Basically, because Izzy shows up at different times, I know he's got some other morning obligations. When Izzy shows up, one of the first things I do is I check on Amazon's price to see if there's a setup. He's been on Amazon so much, I've conditioned myself to take a look at that. Yes, absolutely.
This has been an absolutely phenomenal rebound in MRVL. Really, really nice stuff. Just gave a whole $1 off the bottom. Not bad for a big name. Apple, on the other hand, yes, it's up, but it is trying to recapture the 50-day SMA and the 500. I have some pretty big doubts that it's going to actually get above the 500-day SMA without some positive news coming out of the company. Maybe they replace Tim Cook. That'll send it over the 500, but I don't know what they're going to announce that brings it up higher.
Who said that they were on the beta version of the new OS? Who was that? Someone said that they were on that. How do you do that? I feel like I don't know how to do beta stuff on Mac, so I probably need like a flow chart for that. But I am excited to try out the new OS there on Apple. I don't think that's going to do anything for the stock price, to be clear.
Marvel breaking over the 65 EMA. Chip sector is looking pretty good. Look at this AMD chart. We are beelining for 150. I think that's the next spot for AMD.
150, you think?
Yep. Just look at the chart. I think you'll see. And you could draw a line at 150, and I think it
yeah,
you can clear.
Yeah. I think there's also a moving average here, but here, let me. I'm gonna freeze it. We got 5. That, by the way, folks, we do have a all access here in 5 minutes. After that, we're going to go to story trading. And then after that, we're going to futures fever. So we got a number of things coming up here right on the channel. And you don't have to do anything or go anywhere. We'll take care of it for you.
So NKTR, this made a new high after that rip this morning, pullback, support from VWAP. We are looking for 35 now.
Yeah. Wow. This is actually a really good move here.
There it is.
Here. Yeah. Good mention there, 13.
35. And it's going higher. See ya. Man, that nectar is sweet.
Wing Trader here saying Perplexity might do it for Apple. You know, I want to hold off on that. I like Perplexity, and I definitely see why they're going after that. But I want to see what the actual end result is if they fold Perplexity into the Apple ecosystem. What other functionality does Siri get? What can you do with the AI functions more than creating some useless emoji or having it try to write text that other people can just determine you didn't write? I want to know what the end goal features are before I get excited about that. But I like Perplexity, and I'd be encouraged that that's getting folded into the Apple ecosystem.
Wow. And Nectar is just on an absolute tear right now. This is a nice looking setup too.
Impulse move back to VWAP, hold, and a move higher. That's the textbook move higher.
Let me see if I can figure out where we might end up going with this, because we are above some. No way. We're gonna fill a gap. We're filling a gap right now. So if this continues, we're looking for 44, 45. Holy cow. NKTR, let's see what we end up getting here. But gap fills at about 4. Let me see here. Let's get the exact figure. If we're looking at the low, it's going to be 43.35. We're looking for the close. It's 44.40. So there's your gap fill targets.
Oh, yeah. Here it is. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. See if I can find some other levels.
AMD, that chart looks pretty. I'll tell you what, Dan Ives at the beginning of this week, remember, I actually read that story to you folks saying that tech was going to be pretty good. Worst of this war was behind us. That call looks pretty good at the moment. I know it's early, but that call looks pretty good. I make fun of his jackets all the time. Credit where credit is due. That was a good call. BBAI really disappointing here today. It's back to 13 levels.
Oh, wow. We are slightly beneath the 480 level. Okay. You see, yeah, so that was it was providing some support, but we just lost it. I think I'd be curious to see what the next 5-minute candle looks like. If it's a matching one to this red one. If we have a reversal of green candle and recapture 480, it might trade better the rest of the day. So we'll see. Not interested in it down here.
Okay.
Looks like we're getting some pulling off the 65 EMA with Marvell. GCTK still making its way back up and curling up. I think if we continue with this price action and it can recapture 10, looks like 1050, could see VWAP get tested.
Maybe this is curling here. We'll see. Robert, thank you. Accurate speech to text was one of the features that you'd like to see from Perplexity. Maybe we will get that. Oh, okay, 13. We're going to go over to our all access here now. Really good stuff here again today. Any closing words for the group? Maybe some dad advice.
No dad advice. I'll just say this. We had some pretty good names we found. We traded. It wasn't a very broad landscape like we're used to, but you know what? We still found them. We still traded some. We still made some money, right? So let's come back here and we'll do it again. We'll sort through all the BS and see what we can find to trade. We'll make some money, have a good time, and then we'll go into the weekend. Take care, folks. See you tomorrow. Have a good one. Enjoy the next show.
Thank you, 13. I'll give some dad advice since 13 balked at it. Just be nice to people, folks. You have no idea what other random people are going through. And sometimes just simply being nice can turn around someone's day and it won't cost you anything. So try that out. Now what we'll do, though, is we're going to go ahead and talk to one of my favorite people, Dan Leach. Now, I don't know if you folks know this. Dan actually served on the board of Blockbuster and voted against doing a Netflix-style DVD rental. That proved to not be all that great, Dan. How have you turned that one around?
No, but I turned it around and did invent Silly String, which was a big deal. I mean, it made me a lot of money. Silly
String. Let me tell you, some of the best pranks that I've ever played on my friends, the two things, Silly String and red Jello. You ever put some of that in a shower cup and make it look like blood is coming out of the shower? Try that one on.
Well, and I also was a little bit of a hellion as a youngster. We used to egg houses a lot, which I'm not doing anymore. But no, listen, I actually visit that. What is there? That one Blockbuster left in Alaska. I enjoy going there, or Oregon, wherever it is. I go there on a yearly pilgrimage and bring old VHS tapes of WWF wrestling events because that's all I used to rent, over and over and over again. It was the best.
Look, who amongst us has not rented a historic WrestleMania at some point? Dan, I'm all for it. What do you got coming up for us on All Access, brother?
I got my man Lance Allstott, the chairman and CEO of Biorestorative Therapies. He's coming in. He's awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun as always. And like you, I got to tell you, Ryan, any day I see you is a great day.
It's good to be seen, Dan.
Free. Like you said, smiling is free. We need that right now.
Absolutely.
Get the heart out.
Absolutely. Any day it's good to be seen. I'm glad to hear we're going to be in good hands with Allstott yet again. Let's go ahead and bring him on. All Access starts right now.
Hey, fine singers, and welcome to All Access. I've got that wonderful guest for you today. It is Lance Allstott. We are in good hands with Allstott, like my man Ryan said. He's the chairman and CEO of Biorestorative Therapies. The NASDAQ ticker is BRTX. He is joining us for an exclusive talk today. All Access starts right now. Oh, yes, it is my pleasure to welcome back the chairman and CEO of Biorestorative Therapies, Lance Allstott. Lance, great to be with you again today.
Dan, great to be here, and thanks for helping us get our story out. I appreciate it.
Of course, the honor and pleasure all mine, and lots of exciting things to talk about. Let's start with this. Lance, what were the key results of the 36-patient phase 2 trial of BRTX 100 for chronic lumbar disc disease? I know, obviously, a very important one.
Super important and really an indication of how we think the balance of our trial will go. But the data from the 36 patients are highly encouraging. At 50 weeks, over 74% of the participants demonstrated greater than 50% improvement in function, and over 72% reported greater than 50% reduction in both, substantially exceeding the FDA's meaningful threshold of 30%. So these results, which were presented last week at ISSR 2025 in Hong Kong, one of the largest and significant conferences in our space, totally affirm the powerful potential of TX100 to transform how we treat chronic lumbar disease, and given that certainly limited therapeutic options and a large unmet need.
I know. Listen, apologize over you, Lance. You're coming in and out there. We're going to work on that connection, but I do want to ask you about this, and that's obviously great information. What does this mean for the value of BRTX 100? And obviously, what's really important, its pathway to approval.
Yeah. So these. Can you hear me? Okay, I want to confirm.
Yeah, just break it up a little bit. The internet monsters can come out at any time, so we'll try to strengthen that. But I can definitely hear you.
Okay. Results significantly de-risk program. BRTX 100 is now tracked towards regular milestone with strong clinical momentum. The product has FDA fast track designation. We believe is phase 2 set the stage for successful pivotal trial. From a market perspective, lumbar disc disease affects millions globally with very few non-surgical solutions. TX100 potential as a first-class autologous stem cell therapy position our company restorative to ensure substantially a share in a multi-billion-dollar market.
Well, and what does the BRTX do, and what makes it different from other drugs in development for chronic lumbar disc disease? Because obviously that's what's the differential here. That's what's going to make it as beautiful as it is. What is it that makes it different, Lance?
Yeah, it's a highly differentiated and proprietary technology. It's autologous stem cell therapy, meaning it uses the patient's bone marrow-derived stem cells, which are specially cleared under hypoxia or low oxygen tension, mimic the environment of the spine damaged disc. We then inject those and cells direct into the affected disc where they reduce inflammation, they promote repair, and generally help generate disc tissue at the source of the problem. What makes BRT 100 really differentiated, we're not masking pain, we're targeting the root cause of disc degeneration with a biologically active regenerative approach to other treatments, opioids, steroids, or even emerging injectables. They often only are temporary pain relief. Otherwise, others in regeneratives often use allogeneic or donor-derived cells, which come with immune risks and other variabilities. So our theory is it's personalized, meaning it comes in the patient's own cells, targeted, meaning precisely injected into the damaged disc through fluoroscopy in a minimally invasive fashion, and it's durable. We have effects that last up to 7 years in make TX100 first-in-class candidate with the potential to redefine how we treat chronic lumbar disease.
Yeah, I hate to jump in here. I really, this is such important information, and we're really excited to have you on. Unfortunately, we're having some really, choppy internet connection. So let's do this. We'll take a quick pause here. We'll get that all taken care of. I'm going to head back with my man, Ryan Faluda, because we want to make sure you get all this very, very important information out. So we apologize for that. Sometimes that's the way the internet is around the world. So we'll take a quick pause here, Lance. Be right back with you.
Okay, thank you.
Back with Ryan Faluda here for a minute.
Hey,
let's head back to my man, Ryan Faluda.
What's going on?
Call you the Oracle of O'Hare. So let's go with it. By the way, there's Mr. Whiskers. How about Mr. Whiskers?
Buddy is staring at the bird who's having his late morning breakfast right now, so he is in full-on hunt mode. Look, have you ever, speaking of
go ahead.
Speaking of O'Hare, have you ever heard of the O'Hare spread?
Yeah,
This was a trade. Some of
the bagel, cream cheese, and capers.
No. I appreciate where you're always thinking about food, but no, this is actually a trade people used to put on when they were from the Chicago Board of Options Exchange. If they were down to the pretty much the end of where they were at, they would say, okay, I'm going to bet on this and I'm going to buy a plane ticket. And if this hits, I'm going back to work. If not, I'm on that first plane out of O'Hare. It was called the O'Hare spread. So I don't know if I'm the oracle of anything at O'Hare, but I have heard of that.
I think you are. But before I let you ask me multiple sports questions, and by the way, we apologize again. Obviously, we're live. We love having our guests online. You do a live show every day. You're incredible at it. And sometimes, best laid plans can go to heck because the internet has issues. So we really want to get Lance back because he's got BioRestorative is doing some really cool stuff, Ryan. But I wanted to ask you about this.
Go ahead.
We're both in the Midwest. Yesterday, I literally fried an egg on my Equinox. It was 100 degrees here. I know that you were in a similar heat area, but then all of a sudden at 6 o'clock, we had a hailstorm. Yeah. It went from 100 to 74, power out all over the place. Thank God I didn't lose my power like I've done in years past. What a crazy time to be alive.
Yeah. So first of all, I don't know why you choose to fry an egg on your vehicle. You'll have to explain that to me at some other point. But I actually did 3.5 miles in that heat. I was dying at the end of it. Absolutely dying. I'll tell you what, let's check in on Lance here. Let's see if we've got that internet connection squared up. And if so, I'll just drop behind. You guys can finish here. So let's bring Lance on. Lance, how you doing?
Lance, how we feeling?
I feel great. This is the most I've had in a long time. I love it.
Yeah, unfortunately,
can you hear me okay?
We're still having some issues.
Let me try.
I love the background, though. It looks like a very fancy tech-laden area.
Yeah, I think if you're on Wi-Fi, that's your problem. That needs to be hardwired because your wireless signal is not great right here.
Okay, we should try another time then, John. I do appreciate it. I guess you can't hear still.
Yeah, of course. We'll definitely get it done again. We have such important things you want to talk about.
Absolutely.
So we'll make sure it's all clean so you can present that to the world. And Lance, it always is a pleasure, my man.
We'll do it.
And we're flexible. Yep. We're flexible on the show, so whenever Lance can fit in, just we'll work it out, Dan. Let's make sure we get him back here.
Oh, yeah,
it's really not even understandable with the choppiness, though.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Lance. Yeah, we apologize because, Ryan, I'll tell you, I've talked with Lance before on previous All Accesses, and what they're doing with this BRTX 100 for chronic lumbar disc disease is amazing. They've done some incredible studies. They've gotten great results, and we want to make sure that people can hear that information without it kind of going in and out. So it's a disservice to Lance, disservice to our viewers, and we want to do the best we can. So we'll get Lance back on. No problem. It's just extra time for you and me to wrap.
We're actually
talk
good.
SGA and the Lions beating the Bears forever.
Yeah, I mean, we're actually good. I don't know about the whole beating the Bears thing. They like to beat themselves, so I don't know how much the Lions are actually going to do about that. But we actually did a pretty good job filling the time here. It looks like story trading guys are ready to go. Dan, I'll ask you. So I asked 13. He punted on it. You got any dad advice for the group?
Well, considering I'm not a dad, but I have the best
I'm not a dad either,
world,
but I still came up with advice, and the one dad we did have punted on
dad
it.
Advice. I can give you this. I'm covering the Rocket Mortgage Classic, the PGA Tour tomorrow. My dad's coming out with me. Spend whatever time you possibly and humanly can with your father. You never know what's going to happen. You are so lucky to have an incredible dad. I have a lot of friends who have lost their fathers. So I cherish every single moment, even when he makes fun of me, which he does every single day. I love my dad, and I think everyone should never forget how lucky we are to have great.
Yeah, so he's like the rest of us in terms of making fun of you every day. All jokes aside here, Dan, that's a really good piece of advice as someone that lost my dad in my 20s. I wish I could have done more of it. You can't ever get that back. So really good advice. Thanks, Dan, and I appreciate Lance for being flexible. We'll be sure to get him on pretty soon, okay?
Absolutely. Ryan, love you. And to all people out there, believe in the dream.
Take care of yourself, Dan. We will check in with you next time. This is how we do. When we do things live, sometimes there's monkey wrenches thrown into things, but we're going to go ahead and thank the story trading folks. Ben, Rhett, Godfather, can we get an audio check, mic check, please?
Check. Sounds good here.
Great.
Morning, guys.
And you sound great. Godfather, you sound great. We're all set to go. How are you guys doing here today?
Amazing.
Good.
Gotta fix my camera. Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. We've had a couple of technical snafus that we've been able to get over here, but otherwise doing pretty good. What do you got on the docket for us today?
All right. Well, a lot of killer calls in our community today over the last couple of days. AMD, Ryan, I'll use your advice. Look at this. Check this out. Look at this AMD daily chart. Monday morning in our community, when this thing is 130, I put a 144 swing target on it. Over the last couple of days, I've made like $23,000 on call options. It hit 144 and it's pulled back, and you don't know how tempted I am to get in again. Should I resist that temptation?
I mean,
or do I go back in?
So sorry, whose mic is that? Is that Godfather's? I'm going to mute him real quick.
I don't see Godfather. Is he here?
Yeah, the camera dropped, but I heard something really crazy and loud. Okay, so here's what I would say. This all comes down to risk management. I don't know which way the stock is going to go. My bias here is that we actually do trade a little bit higher, so maybe a reload on a pullback at a support level is a good idea. I would say for risk management, I would just use some of your profit for your next trade. So even if it goes against you, you didn't actually lose.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't size into it too much. So one of the things that I did here was with Chewy. It was a very similar story. I was basically trying to trade this up to 40 before it was 40. It went to like 42 really quickly. And I said, this still has some more momentum to the upside, but I want to bank some of this. So I sold the calls, rolled them into the 45s and took more and used my profit in order to do that. It ended up working for me. I think you could probably do the same thing here on AMD.
We'll see. All right. Awesome. I don't see Godfather. Is he in the backstage?
He doesn't have his camera on. I'm going to go ahead and add him here, but there was some crazy audio I thought was coming from him. I'll get out of your hair here, though.
Appreciate
it. Enjoy, boys.
Yep, thank you. Godfather, are you there?
No, I don't see him at the moment.
I don't see him either. All right. So I guess Ryan, if you can figure out how to put him on the stage, we'll start. So, yeah, I know you were in on this trade too, Rhett. Look at this. 144
yeah, it was.
Back.
I wish I would have held the entire way.
I mean, if I held, I think I got in Friday or Thursday on the call options. If I held what I originally had, there's the Godfather news. There he is.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
If I held,
if
I held the AMD completely without trading it from last Thursday, I'd probably be up like 50, 60 grand on them. But yeah, I know. I was in and out, smaller size, taking my profits, whatever. So up 23 grand in a few days on these AMD calls. Crazy. Hit 144 to the penny. Actually, what the precise level that I was looking at is these series of candles right here. And if you look at it, it's actually 144.12. So when I gave the 144 target, I was just rounding. But the actual precise candle resistance I was looking at is 144.12. And look where we hit today, 144.18. It's so tempting, when you have something that hits a target to be like, oh my gosh, I was right. Now let me do it big, right? Like I have that problem. I'm like, now that it's validated and I was right, all right, it's pulled back $2. Now let me go in big. But you know what? Like that's my temptation right now. But very often you hit that target and that's it. Then you have a meaningful correction or consolidation before the next leg up. I really don't know. I know Godfather knows you have a bigger fundamental price target on this, but technically, I'm not sure. It may need to rest for a while. I don't know if it's going to blow through this 144. Rhett, do you have any thoughts on that technically? And then we'll get Godfather's take.
I think we see a little bit more of a pullback here, especially with the markets hitting all-time highs and they're pulling back a little bit at the moment. So I definitely think we'll see AMD follow path a little bit, and then I think we can shoot up to those next levels around the 150s.
Okay. All right. We'll see. So I'm all out of the call options right now. I'm waiting for a reload. Godfather knows. I know you also had some. We're both on this one. You did some fundamentals valuation analysis on this, and what's your take on it?
Yeah, I put that in the Discord, sort of the relative valuation to the rest of the group, specifically NVIDIA, and of course it's trading at a fraction of NVIDIA's multiple, as it should be. But if you look at where the street estimates come in, you take some of the guys that are typically high in the street, like the Rosenblatts of the world, that I think are up in sort of 180 level. That's where I get to kind of a 160 number. I don't know where that falls technically, but look, coming out of the AI day, it was clear that there was an inflection with respect to their product portfolio. We were starting to see some traction from hyperscalers. You saw Sam Altman at their AI day. It's things like that, of course, that play right into a core story trading pillar, that being sentiment, right? So there's lots of room on the multiple to catch up with the rest of the group. And as I've said multiple times, what we're seeing here is relative underperformance of NVIDIA to the group, but we're starting to see this breadth, to the other hardware names, right? You saw it on Marvell in response to their numbers, KLAC, even IBM. You're seeing it in Dell, you're seeing it in TSSI. Anyone with sort of proximity to the core on the hardware side is doing quite well. And then, of course, names like I mentioned before, OUST, which are sort of a second derivative play on AI, in so much as they're providing both hardware and software in a similar fashion to NVIDIA. So, look, the AMD, it's a catch-up trade. This thing's been a dramatic underperformer for a long, long time. And if they can even prove to be somewhat competitive, and their new chip, I think it's the MI300X or something like that, really bad name. But on a performance basis, it actually bests the Blackwell chip. And they're providing an integrated solution with racking, cooling, and all the rest of it. So there's definitely a desire from the hyperscalers to have more than singular contractor. And of course, they're doing that with their own initiatives through the AVGOs of the world. But yeah, there's really a catch-up trade here. There's really, a broadening out beyond the TSMs and the AVGOs.
I just stepped back in. Small size.
You see, we've got Micron today, right after the close. Look at that chart. All these charts look the same. Look at the KLAC chart. Look at the WDC chart. All these things have been on ragers and have vastly outperformed NVIDIA. So, now that this AI trade has kind of come back and we've, look, it seemingly defeated everything that's been thrown at it, right? Like all these bear cases, DeepSeek, the diffusion rule, over hyperscaler capex, the H20, the China bans, the concerns about return on invested capital by all these guys spending money on AI, rack level assembly issues, you name it. So we've come back with a vengeance, and you're seeing it even in some of the crap names like SMCI today. So, for all of those reasons, we're definitely in a multiple expansion mode at AMD. And,
right. I stepped back in. I don't know. Are you in currently? Look at this. I took this morning's resistance, 141.88. So I just tapped that 141.88. So I got back into 142 call options for next week. Small size though. Small size because it's risky. Once you already hit your target, as I said, you pull back. It gets a little riskier. But
I'm in August calls, and I was trading around them yesterday, and then I just realized, what? If I had done nothing, I'd be up higher. So I bought them all back, and now I'm just going to sit and try not to touch them.
That's hard. I don't know, because I'm in shorter term ones. I was doing this week and next week, so I have to manage that and take profits.
I'm in August 130s and 135s and 140s, and I'm going to roll the 35s and the 30s up as the stock goes higher. So that's my
beautiful. All right. I don't think I want to spend too much time on macro. Look, we're at all-time highs. Geopolitical stuff don't seem to be a concern anymore, and for me, it's just like a green signal, at least for stock picking. Do you have any differing comments to that? If you don't, let's just quickly gloss through that.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief as well. No, I agree with you on the war thing. It's clearly been demonstrated by all the war hedges, the shipping, the oil, the gold, the volatility, you name it. The market's seeing through that. So
and they saw through that. They saw through that even before the ceasefire. Like no one cared, even before the ceasefire.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it comes down to earnings, and not just earnings, but the rate of change in earnings. And we're actually seeing revisions go higher. So that's a positive to me. I think that, the strength in the market that's really been driven by retail in a lot of these names. We're still at sort of, 20% under where they should be in terms of institutional positioning. So that tailwind is still yet to come into the market. Meanwhile, we continue to see, retail margin climb. So look, it's been a wall of worry market. It's squeezing higher. Dips continue to get bought here. I think that the view to the end of the year, going into the end of the year with regulatory effects, big beautiful bill effects, extension of tax cuts possibly coming out of that. Like I said, I think the tariff concerns will start to get waylaid. I think that the geopolitical concerns will start to get waylaid. And then if on top of all of that, we finally get the Fed to act, I'm in the one cut camp, but I know futures are calling for two.
Did you see that
even if you just
note
get one
this
of
morning?
those, hey,
Did you see that note this morning from, it was some firm saying 7 rate cuts in 2026? Was it JP Morgan?
Yes, I did see that, and I don't know what they're smoking, but
Morgan Stanley. It was Morgan
net
Stanley.
long the market. I'd be happy
Morgan
to see
Stanley
that.
7 rate cuts 2026. Okay. Anyway, all right, that's the macro. So we're done with that. Just GSRT had an investor day. That's why I was a little bit late getting to the back studio because 9 to 11 a.m. we were live streaming the virtual investor day. So I'm getting hurt today. Actually AMD's working, but this is my largest position. I just like the risk reward of a SPAC. Like, what's the downside risk? 10. And if this lights fire, which a lot of them have pre-deal, it can go to like 15. So it's my largest position, down 3% today. Not completely surprised. In fact, it was not a top pick of the day because I did mention the sell the news risk on this. 1092. Did either of you listen to that investor day presentation last couple of hours? Any thoughts on that?
I had it on sort of in the background while I was multitasking. My biggest takeaway, or what I wanted to hear, was that is there anything that would potentially put this deal on the sidelines or not see this go through? And it's just to me that this is going to happen. It's going to come back. It's going to trade as NKLR, and I think it's going to be part of the the SMR zeitgeist.
How can it
not be? And for that reason, there's probably a 50% revaluation, at least to $1 billion market cap on a relative basis. And then, of course, you got the rights that are trading at a 40% discount.
Oh, I thought that was going to be a secret. Okay. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. We should have talked previously. Well, cat out of the bag. Look, even if we don't get the 50% re-rate on valuation, you're at least going to get a 40% re-rate just on announcement that this deal is going to go through.
GSRT.
By owning the rights. Yeah. So I see that as its potential 100 if we get both the re-rate and the deal going through. So it's kind of a no-brainer there. It's too tough to talk about fundamentals beyond that. This is 2028 stuff, but small modular reactor technology. They have participated in RFPs from the state of New York. Others, those close to it, have validated the technology. It's modular. It cools with helium. It uses low enriched uranium. It sort of ticks the boxes of what.
Yeah, it's actually been a tough morning on a lot of these charts. If you look at most of these charts, you had gap ups and then pretty much down all over the place. AMD's been an exception. Another one that's been a big exception is NKTR. All right, I was late to this because I just did not see the conversations in the Discord, but Godfather knows you were all over this after I think Colex alerted it yesterday. Up 40%, one of the few charts that's been up and to the right throughout the day today. Why don't you give us a thesis on this one?
Yeah, so this is a name that I've been familiar with for a couple of years. It's one of these names that traded at a discount to its cash for forever. They had this drug, it abbreviates as ResPeg. It's for eczema, psoriasis, dermatological conditions, alopecia, etc. They had a joint venture with Eli Lilly that started in 2017. The results that came out of their phase 1 were misreported by all accounts, and as a result, they are suing their partner Lilly to the tune of $250 million for that.
On purpose?
Yeah. So Lilly is saying Lilly agreed that the numbers were incorrect, but they blame an independent third-party contractor that these guys jointly hired. Essentially, the response rates that were reported were like 9%, but in reality, when they corrected the numbers, they were like 41%. And the improvement rates were like 83% versus 66 reported. So the important thing to understand here is that this is a new method of action relative to the incumbent
back
drug,
up a little
which
bit.
is called.
What's the catalyst that just happened? Because the stock is tripled.
Yeah, they reported their phase 2B numbers, and you can see their report in their press release. That incredible response rates, the numbers were blowout in terms of efficacy and safety. And the important thing to understand here is that I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but Dupixent is the standard of care in the market.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a Sanofi Regeneron drug, and it does over $14 billion a year. Okay, but the problem is some 30%, and I've seen numbers as high as 60% of people that take this only get partial or end up being non-responders, and there's some side effects to it that don't make it great for a lot of people as well. So this drug has efficacy that's equal to or better with a completely different MOA, which suggests that at a minimum, their TAM is, let's say, the 30% of the 14 billion that's currently being sold, and possibly more. So that's 4 billion a year. This thing has a market cap of
that was
430
phase 2 data.
Million. Phase 2B data, yes.
Now they got to do
yes.
phase 3. What do they get milestone payments for? Is Lilly relationship done? Like, what's that mean financially for the company?
So they own 100% of the rights now. Lilly terminated the agreement in April of 2023. So they own 100% of it. They're suing them for 250 million. The company has over 200, so they have 219 million in cash. Wow. Now, so the actual enterprise value of this, and I'm going to be conservative here, and I'm going to use the 86 million that they're showing on their balance sheet as liabilities for future royalties as actual debt, even though it's not. But taking that into account, the enterprise value is like 300 million. It's closer to just over 200 million if you don't consider that real debt. So let's say an EV of 200 to 300 million versus a potential 4 billion a year in revenue for this, plus potential of getting 250 million non-dilutive capital from winning this lawsuit against Lilly. There's rumblings on X, and I think rightly so, that they will probably finance. I mean, you typically see this, but there's no immediate need given the cash position I just mentioned. Guys that I know well and have been followed for a long time that are specialists in biotech, unlike myself, and the analysts that have come out with this thing, you see numerous target prices that are talking about, $50, $80, $120 a share. And why do you get there, and how can you get there? Well, quite easily. They did a reverse split, 1 for 15, that came effective June 8th. So there's only 12.4 million shares outstanding. The float's actually less than 11. This is one of those names that, frankly, if they did a financing, would probably get gobbled up and the stock will trade higher. So I see this grinding to 50, 80.
So I'm a little bit late to this. I'm hearing all this thesis right now. I know it was in the Discord, but I was busy. I didn't really get to it. But for someone who's just hearing about it now at $34, like, okay, sounds like you still like it, but I don't know. In terms of risk reward, is this something like you do a big allocation on at 34, or just like a kind of a 1%er here?
It's now my single largest position. Wow. Yeah. So that shows you my conviction, but I'm not suggesting that's right for everybody. I do think that it will do an issue, and like fears over an issue coming after the close took it down to $23 in AH yesterday. So I scooped into after hours and bought some there. I own calls. I own the stock. I'm a believer in the sort of $50 plus range before they actually finance, by the way. And it could be higher. So I mean, look, I could go on, but
a quick alert. I just got back into IMRX. Sold it at 321 or so. I don't read if you want to alert the Discord while I'm talking here. Just reloaded at $3. So another biotech with really good phase 2 data recently, also undergoing a re-rate here. Wow, that's a beautiful looking chart. Okay, so a couple biotechs. Wow, very interesting. Thank you for giving us that whole update on NKTR. Those AMD call options working. We only got 8 minutes left. Let me fly through this and see, try to prioritize what we should be talking about here. Right. Any stocks that you think you want to bring up here? We got to talk about cores in a second. But
yeah, you want to bring up Bull?
Yes, back. Good. Thank you. Okay, so Bull. Oh, it's back below the 20 DMA. So I rode this overnight. Did make some profits on it, but it's been disappointing because it had the first close ever crossing over the 20 DMA. It traded above it before, but it never had the opportunity to cross over it until now. Man, I really thought, and it did attract a lot of traders. So as far as an overnight trade goes, it worked. It hit that target up there, the first target of 1173, pulling back 20 DMAs 1104. I'm still going to watch this. I did sell most of my position, but I did keep some because of the proximity to this 20 DMA. That's a big deal, crossing over it for the first time. So we'll see how this closes. If it looks like we're going to be closing over 1105, I might increase my position again overnight. But definitely disappointing price action today. If you held it overnight, you made some profits. But so far, intraday been pretty poor. I don't know if you want to comment on that one, Godfather. That's just a technical. It's just a technical trade. That's just a technical trade.
Yeah. And then something else I want to mention too was since the Robotaxi event, Tesla's down on that, and then Uber's up. So that's something to take into consideration.
Well, Uber's also up because the next day they expand the relationship with Waymo in Atlanta. I own both. I also own Lyft. So yeah, I like the sector. Let's talk about cores. Man, I thought I was like swimming in the money this morning. I really thought this thing was breaking out. It looks like cores is being pushed around by whatever the heck Iron's doing. But the thing is, Iron's up 3.5%. The general direction, it's moving with Iron directionally, but Iron is a lot more popular, has a lot more volume, has a lot more social media buzz. I did do the research. Godfather knows, been saying, this is the best valuation one. I did a couple AI research, research things with both Grok and ChatGPT, and they verified what you're saying, that Cores is a much better valuation, more compelling than Iron. But for whatever reason, Iron is the retail darling right now that's kind of being targeted, and Cores is lagging behind. I think Cores is going to catch up. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, look, we did that the YouTube video that you can go and watch, and you can see the 3 different valuations that I took to this that all get me in the $20 range, $20 plus. But it's frustrating. I agree with you. If you look at the chart of Cores today and you look at the Bitcoin chart, you can see they're basically trading with a pretty high R squared. So this thing is still being valued as a Bitcoin miner, and they are a Bitcoin miner. They also do co-location. They mine Bitcoin for their own account and then host others in their facilities. But they are definitely leading the pack in terms of conversion to HPC. Wow. They've got these contracts with CoreWeave from the crowd. I don't know exactly what you attribute this relative underperformance. I think it's just a question of time. The market, clearly wants to see them do another contract, and they've indicated in their last quarter that they've got another 50 to 100 megawatts that they're in discussions with corporate partners, so not just hyperscalers, but probably like the J&Js of the world or something. So
ChatGPT had one thesis as to why Iron is being targeted over Cores, or people are kind of ignoring Cores. Cores has like a history of bankruptcy, so it suggested maybe that's why. Along with the fact that Iron is a little bit smaller market cap, so basically saying those are the 2 reasons maybe why retail is circling around Iron but not Cores. I don't know, but eventually fundamentals speak, and if it's not retail, institutions will come in and pump it up, right?
Well, I mean, the great thing about the bankruptcy that they went through is that they came out with a clean slate, and now the debt that they do have are converts, half of which, actually 2/3 of which have a 0% coupon, and are exercisable and much higher, and the others have a 3% coupon. So these guys have one of the most pristine balance sheets in the group. So yes, there are some small share releases that come out from time to time as a result of those bankruptcy proceedings, but it's not enough in the capital stack to give me any concern whatsoever. So again, I'm still waiting for CoreWeave to do an equity issue, which they, really ought to with their stock up where it is. And anything, again, that improves the perception around CoreWeave and their balance sheet strength and their business model will be a direct benefit to Cores. So you've got that. You've got this imminent additional HPC deal that would diversify their client base and show to the world that they can, do deals outside of.
What's your timing expectation on that deal?
I believe it's imminent. It's definitely a 2H 2025 event. So that's sort of how they frame that, which gave them kind of 5 months from now to get something done. I couldn't tell you exactly when it's going to come, but
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, disappointing. I did actually, note the last couple of days of relative strength in iron, and you know what? If you're just a trader, maybe you opted for iron. I haven't. I'm sticking with the fundamentals. So I'm sticking with the cores. Okay. Let's see with the minute we have left if there's any other thoughts.
Yeah, someone put a comment in here. They're up 140% on MKTR thanks to the Godfather Knows.
It says MKTR. I think he means NKTR, but yeah.
Oh, NKTR. Yeah.
Very good. Okay.
Awesome. Good stuff. All right. There's so much other stuff here, but let's see. Redwire has been disappointing. It was a good trade for me yesterday. I was expecting what's the market looking like now? I thought with the market strength today, I was expecting market strength today and expecting Redwire. So I was jumping the gun here, anticipating a break of the 20 DMA. So I'm getting my ass handed to me right now because I was like buying this up in anticipation of breaking 17, and it didn't happen, at least not yet. So that's a failed trade for me right now. Ryan, welcome back.
How's it going, my man? I love Redwire, by the way. I'm with you on that. It looks good to close that gap that you were just looking at above that moving average. I would imagine we get
my
that
target's 1770. I thought we break the 20 DMA and then you run right to 1770 pretty quick.
And then maybe even gap fill there up to what, 19 and a half?
Maybe.
We'll see how it goes, guys. Really good stuff here today. I know we started about a minute late there. We'll try and give that back to you next time. Thank you, boys.
All right, thanks. Take care.
All right, that is Ben, Rhett, and the Godfather, all from Story Trading. And I know you folks sometimes ask, how do we join the Discord? Remember, anytime they're on, you're going to have that QR code. There we go. Up top right corner of the screen. You go ahead and scan that. You can join their Discord. Folks, we're going to send you over to Futures Fever next here with Kevin. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We'll see.